you doing, all you beautiful sons of bitches? It's your boy Bax here, and today Ant is back with the ultimate rage bait. And I just don't even know where to fucking begin with this. I'm glad Star Wars Last Jedi ruined your childhood. What do you guys think of that shit right there?
Alright, who wants to go first?
Childhood, but the most clickbaity titles imaginable.
I mean, I was in high school. I think I was around high school when Last Jedi came out, so it didn't. So I guess if it came out in my childhood, it came out in my later childhood, so it didn't really ruin anything for me.
Who wants to go next?
When did he upload this video?
I think like a couple days. I think like
this week, man.
Yeah, this week.
Damn, one day ago.
A day ago.
Why is he desperate for this?
I don't know.
Because it's May 4th. It's going to be May 4th soon, so he has to celebrate it somehow.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, you know, it's 20
Yeah.
Well, guys,
Also-
it's 8 years later, so in 2 more years, everybody's going to love The Last Jedi, because they said in 10 years, everybody will love this movie. So he's getting in early on that.
But
dude, hasn't everyone moved on? Hasn't everyone moved on from The Last Jedi, and he's just bringing it back?
Well, for now, but
guys, I think we should introduce ourselves. So besides Backseat
So we
on
got
Kino
Kino,
Flex,
Evan, Eric, John, and Jeremy back. So yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep. But I guess briefly we should give our thoughts on The Last
Hello
Jedi.
there.
Just like very briefly. Just do we like it or do we not like it?
I mentioned this earlier before we started recording. If you watch it by itself, well, without the context of it being Star Wars, it's a decently made film. Plot-wise, could have been better in a couple places, but as an overall production, yeah, pretty good. As a Star Wars movie, that's where all the problems kind of come in.
Anyone else?
I think it's from
go
a
ahead.
plot perspective too. I mean, there are some good effects, good shots, but unfortunately on a writing level and just a basic kind of character level, and especially as part of a trilogy, which I won't hold anything that came after it against it, but compared to what came before it, even it falls apart character-wise, I think.
Right.
Also, another point I want to make, it has one of the worst choreographed lightsaber fights in the entire movie.
A lot of people say it. A lot of people love that though. But yeah, I totally agree. When I saw it, honestly, it's something that really stuck with me as a very negative experience, because it, to me, is a film that I really despise, and it sort of shaped my view of bad writing in general. I would say it gave birth to this term, subverted your expectations, as if that's always a good thing, when no, if you do something that completely makes no sense, that's not good writing, that's bad writing. And Rian Johnson, the director, sort of gave birth to that, what I consider dogma now, because it sort of gave writers a pass to do, some writers to do whatever they want, when no, you need to follow internal consistency in your stories if you want them to be good. But yeah, I obviously dislike it, and so many other people, especially Mahler, have done their fair share of delving into everything wrong with it. So I'm just ready to start the video.
We're going to be Mahler length by the time we get through this.
Oh, you better
Yeah.
boys. So without further ado,
Also-
let's get on with it, shall
Yeah,
we?
let's say better.
Righto, playing.
Ask anyone in the film sphere what the most controversial film of all time is. The first thing they say might be The Last Temptation of Christ, but the second thing is probably The Last Jedi.
Was it with movies with the last
Well,
subtitle?
wait, pause it already. Pause it already.
the Passion of Christ. There's movies that are.
No,
way
it
more-
was the Last Temptation of Christ. It's a very.
I
different
was going to say.
Yeah,
I can
I
think of
was-
like several movies that are more like controversial. Like
I was going to
Heaven's
say-
Gate, for example.
I was going to say "Birth of a Nation" by C.W. Griffith. That's
I was
No,
gonna
that
say
one's
Recency.
based. What are you
I would
talking
That's not
about?
say-
like
I would
controversial.
say
That's like
Cannibal
racist
Holocaust.
propaganda.
No, but yes, it's a blatantly racist film, but it's a very important film because it's the first in doing a lot of notable film techniques that we use to this day, and that's
It's
why
funny.
it's taught in classes.
What you just said also applies to Triumph of the Will, funnily enough.
Yeah, true.
Lenny Riefenstahl had a lot of breathtaking filmmaking techniques, but it was for Nazi propaganda, so most people don't like
Exactly.
to talk about that.
Exactly.
Could have said a Serbian film or some shit like that, but no. Last
Yeah.
Temptation, okay.
I've never seen a Serbian film all the way, but I did see Mr. G's video on a Serbian film, and pretty gross movie.
Just read a plot synopsis on it. That's all you fucking need with that film.
Yeah. Another one that comes.
Nikola Jokic, what he thinks of Serbian film. I think he's from there.
Also,
Freddy Got Fingered is another pretty controversial.
Happiness is another one too. Have you guys ever heard of Happiness?
No.
Oh yeah, Mr. Gigi actually discussed that Happiness in one of his videos covering disturbing movies, and he basically said he didn't really like go into too much detail because he really liked it and didn't want to like spoil it at all for his audience.
See, I've heard of Happiness,
it's a very
but I've never
dark,
experienced it.
It's a very dark film. It's darkly comedic, but yeah, go check it out.
All right, continue.
Yeah, I might, but it's on my list, but there's like several other movies on the list.
Yeah. Recency bias.
The majority of audiences who saw The Last Jedi remember it fondly as that one Star Wars movie where Luke is old and stuff. However, online, it's created this whole micro industry of people making videos, sometimes 4 or 5 times longer than the movie itself.
So, Backseat, is that accurate? The only reason people are mad at Luke Skywalker's portrayal in the movie is because he's old, or is there more to it than that?
There is an entire fucking laundry list of reasons.
Yeah, and they all center around racism and bigotry, right?
Yeah, we love that.
Okay, should I go?
Yep, go on.
Complaining about how this film not only destroyed their childhood, but destroyed the future of Star Wars.
Hey everybody, Rian Johnson here. Sorry about that, me taking a huge giant dump. I was
Funko Pops.
busy.
I guess this guy's just doing a
Star Wars
skit.
franchise. This movie took everything that you like.
That looks like Matthew
Stafford.
Stafford.
Love about Star Wars that you thought you knew about Star Wars, and it on it, and on it again, and then it sets it on fire, and then it on it again. I don't even have one good fucking
Don't
thing
show him drive.
about this movie. It is just.
Wait, are these his buddies, or are these just people he reacted
Star
to?
Wars cycle
These are people who don't like the film, and
Okay.
has garnered controversy since starting just over a decade ago. Yes, it has been that long. The Last Jedi stands apart from most of the other entries. People aren't really talking about, say, the Obi-Wan show anymore, or that Book of Boba Fett series. Hell, even The Acolyte, despite its immense controversy,
They did because it sucked.
has seen the conversation around it slow
And
substantially.
it got canceled. So
The
we
sequel-
just
Wait, so you mean that they don't like? So you mean that people didn't like The Acolyte then? Well, because if people liked it, then it wouldn't be canceled. Wow, it's almost like nobody liked The Acolyte except for shills or something weird.
Well, when he's talking about all these things, it's like, first of all, The Force Awakens, a lot of people didn't like it as well, but The Last Jedi was kind of the big breaking point for a lot of, because it became unsalvageable.
The reason...
And people
Feels like
fervently
the
defended it
writing
and
on
called
the
it a
wall
masterpiece,
for some people at
too.
the point.
The reason people like The Force Awakens is because J.J. Abrams pretty much copy and pasted the A New Hope over again. And
That and it was the beginning of the franchise, and at that point we wouldn't know how terrible Disney Star Wars would become.
Yeah.
right, and a lot of people were comparing them to the prequel movies, and they were convinced that, hey, anything's better than those movies, so they'll take what they can get. Also, funnily enough, like at the time we're recording this, Revenge of the Sith is out in theaters again right now for a re-release. And it's making a ton of money.
Yeah, beating Disney's modern movies at the box office, which is hilarious.
It's already made
That's
more
great.
money. It's already made bigger.
Office.
It's already made a bigger box office than Rise of Skywalker, I believe.
I would say a big difference between, because I'm just comparing like the timeline. I'm like, okay, why do people make such a big deal out of The Last Jedi compared to what came before or after? Because it was also with The Force Awakens and Rogue One, which were the only movies that had come out before this, and they didn't have Disney Plus shows at that point. I guess maybe Rebels was going on or something, but nobody was like, oh my gosh, those are masterpieces, the best Star Wars thing ever. Maybe some people were, but for the most part, people were like, oh, Force Awakens, it was safe, like it's not the best, but at least it was like entertaining or whatever. And Rogue One, it was sort of similar, but in a different vein because it wasn't continuing the story. So I don't think people minded the retreading as much because they were like, "Oh, it's just a story. It's just a Star Wars." So I think you get the
wait, what about
dichotomy. And
Solo?
you get the,
What about Solo? Wasn't
that was
Solo
after the last.
Solo
Jedi.
was an underperformer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was only mentioning the ones beforehand because it's like, why did this one cause such a big schism? It's probably because you had people saying either it's a masterpiece, and then you had people who, fervently hated it. So there was this whole fervent thing in either direction, and also it was kind of the start of this discourse or it was the first time I ever witnessed it anyway, where they started this strategy of like, anybody who criticized it, if they didn't want to get called these things, they had to preface their criticism with, well, even though I'm only going to be talking about the writing, I just want everyone to know that I don't hate women, I don't hate this, I don't hate that, because people would cherry pick the worst possible people that happened to criticize it and try to stereotype fandom. It was the first time where they tried to turn people on their fandom.
Yeah, Ghostbusters 2016. Ghostbusters 2016 was the start of that kind of discourse, but it was definitely The Last Jedi that really finalized it. Because the thing about
Star Wars is a new level, yeah.
Yeah, because with Ghostbusters, even though Ghostbusters, there was all that discourse, it was pretty universally hated. So a lot of the criticism, you criticized it because you're sexist thing with that, it basically felt like water under the bridge. Like even with James.
No, it's not only that. It's not only that, Jeremy. If you didn't even watch it, you were called a sexist. Remember James Rolfe?
But yeah, I was literally bringing that up. It's he literally had like the perfect response. Nothing. He didn't address it at all and just went on. And you know what? Literally barely anybody brings it up and everyone moved on. But with The Last Jedi, it wasn't as disliked as Ghostbusters. It was definitely like split down the middle. Like several people, like even Kyle Nordy, who I really like, actually listed it as one of his favorite movies of 2017. So yeah, even he. So like a lot of people liked it, a lot of people hated it, and that kind of made more room for the you're an istophobe if you criticize this movie narrative to flourish, where it kind of flourished with Ghostbusters but didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, I would actually say that the prequels also saw some discourse. Like you had a lot of people saying that George Lucas killed their childhood. I think there was also a documentary about it, like the people versus George Lucas. Yeah. I definitely agree with you guys that because of the advancements in the internet, like people are more like online than they've ever been. So you saw more discourse over it as a result for the sequel trilogy. But I just remember when people defending it just came up with like wild reinterpretations on how to go about like watching movies. I remember Patrick Willem, for instance, he made that infamous video. This is a movies for space wizards. Plot holes don't matter.
He's never living that shit down.
Oh, it's not. I actually found Patrick Williams. I don't know if it was made around the time. I actually found Patrick Williams from a short film he did where he styled like the X-Men in the form of like the X-Men. Like, what if X-Men was directed by Wes Anderson? And I thought it was actually like kind of cool, like an interesting basically like an interesting like interpretation, kind of combining the X-Men with like the aesthetic and tropes of Wes Anderson films. I thought that was kind of an interesting video. I haven't really watched a ton of his stuff like since, and yeah, those videos really kind of like soured his like reputation. Like imagine unironically saying that plot holes just don't matter in any consistency, like at all.
Well, and it was the first one to kind of come out with that whole like I first started listening to film podcasts and stuff probably around 2015. So the fact that this was the first one that was like such a split, and you had this whole network of all the colliders and everything then established where it's like this daily movie talk, it becomes this like exhausting thing. And then you made up an entire I guess for lack of a better term, I'll say it, a counterculture too, because most of those were based in Hollywood. And so they all kind of had the spin job going, or at least a softening, even if they said they didn't like something about it. And then you had a whole like network then become established, and Red Letter Media did this beforehand because they were up in Wisconsin. But you had all the the maulers and the nerdrotics and the critical drinkers and stuff. There's like all that stuff started to kind of emerge because it was like these people are so fucking disingenuous. We need someone else to listen to, and so they all gained a bigger audience because it kind of outed a lot of these Hollywood insider people as like, you're not gonna give your honest opinion. You're just gonna do whatever to make the studio more money because you want to keep your interviews. I need someone outside of that system.
Yeah, and the biggest irony in that, John, is all those videos Last Jedi defenders made, just moving goalposts and just making excuses for the film. The grand irony is that when the Rise of Skywalker came out and they were disappointed by it, they had their own videos and arguments thrown in their face, like, this is just a movie for magic space wizards. Why do you care so much? Like, plot holes don't matter, Chud. Yeah, and imagine how Ant would react to I'm glad Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker ruined your expectations or TLJ built up.
Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Out as the final third of the Skywalker saga, but even among those films, The Last Jedi stands out. And it's because it's the film with the most worth analyzing artistically. A film's artistic merit is subjective, of course, and it changes over time. Works like Moby Dick or the artwork of Van Gogh were seen as trash at the time of their debut, but later were re-embraced as masterworks. Now, am I saying The Last Jedi is the new Moby Dick?
Passive-aggressively,
No,
yes.
Obviously not. What are you, stupid? There's no whales in it. But from a historic perspective, I do associate
there's space whales.
Another great work of literature, reviled for changing the source material upon which it was based.
Oh boy.
Which we will get to
1984's Dune.
Later half of this video.
I'm calling it now.
But the first half, let's talk right now about The Last Jedi.
All right, pause it real quick, just really briefly.
Not pre-watched, by the way. I was just guessing.
So he has a point. Ant has a point. It does have a lot to analyze. On what not to do. That's what I will agree with him on. But he's also correct that certain films and certain artworks get ignored at the time they're made, only to get appreciated much later on. A good film example would be John Carpenter's The Thing, one of my favorite films ever. Critics hated it because they didn't like the depiction of a scary alien. They preferred E.T. But later, people re-examined it and found that there's a lot to love about the film. The social dynamic between the characters, the intrigue, the horror, all of that. But I don't really see how The Last Jedi is going to be re-examined as some misunderstood masterpiece when a lot of the people saying, there's so much to analyze, there's so much to praise, can't name like even one or two things that's exemplary about it.
I think the problem is comparing it. Oh, go ahead.
It's like with certain films, like for example, like another good example is Halloween 3. Halloween 3 absolutely bombed like big time because the obvious, it didn't have Michael Myers. But over the years, while it hasn't become like super beloved, people did grow like an appreciation for it. Now that the dust is settling, we've gotten several more Michael Myers films since then. We're able to look back at Halloween 3 and see it as its own unique and interesting entity. And it is actually a pretty interesting film, and I kind of think it would have been interesting if they went on with their original vision to make Halloween kind of like a Black Mirror, but for Halloween type series. With The Last Jedi, what could you latch onto? There isn't really like anything. And there are several bad movies, old bad movies like Ghosts Can't Do It and the Garbage Pail Kids movie that haven't gotten a reevaluation and are still massively hated today.
Well, there's a big difference between this and like an early 80s movie like Halloween 3, and that is the same sort of network that I was talking about. Like, this movie has already been talked to death. There's no stone left to turn over in 8 years that is going to be like, despite what he maybe this video will have some amazing new interpretation, but we've had a network of people analyzing and counter-analyzing and responding to this movie since the moment that it came out. So the fact that you think like he's comparing it to like Moby Dick. Moby Dick came out what, like the 1800s or something. It was like it's going to be like
unrelated, but I actually met the guy that
travel.
Season of the Witch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Wallace. Cool guy.
Yeah.
Also, wouldn't you also say that movie just changed in the past 20 years? Like, everyone's on the internet now.
Most definitely.
Well, that's what I mean. Like the opinions travel.
Viewing movies.
Yeah. It's
in general has radically changed.
It's more easier to it's more easier to form like a to develop fan bases over misunderstood or cult films more than ever. But just because there are like fan bases for obscure films doesn't mean that they are of quality, though. They could just
for example, The Room.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, yeah. For The Room, honestly,
The Room is more of an ironic fan base, if anything.
Yeah.
And honestly, the thing about The Room is a bad movie that, for lack of a better word, The Room is a bad movie that's better watched in terms of like clips than the full experience, because the movie, like, obviously the clips like are legendary, but there are like a bad movie like a movie like Samurai Cop or Miami Connection is fun all the way through. You can watch the entire movie unedited and have a blast. But with The Room, in order to get to the legendary moments, you have to sit through so many slow and dry and incredibly awkward scenes. Like, there's a reason only there are certain scenes from this movie get memed on and certain ones don't, because there is a lot of filler and uninteresting stuff.
Yeah. Anyway.
Also, just want to point out, I also met Tommy Wiseau.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, I imagine he's a cool guy.
You know what's funny? Unrelated, but also, to know a story.
So did he really not hit her?
No.
Also, every time I hear the name Mark, I almost instinctively think of the "Oh Hi Mark" scene.
That's kind of the funny thing. I go to a 7-Eleven quite a lot. There's this really cute Asian girl there. Her name is Ring. And she knows I work at a movie theater. And on my name tag, it says my name. And it also says my favorite room. My favorite movie is The Room. And she was like, "What's The Room?" And I tried to explain to her what The Room was. And the next day, at night, she actually bought the movie off YouTube and watched the whole thing over. So every time she sees me, she says, "Hi, Mark."
And speaking of Asian girls, Rose Tico's in The Last Jedi. We'll get back to it.
Oh, you're definitely covering Rose Tico. That's
Rose Tico's Asian? I'm colorblind, I didn't know.
What is it about? Why do people
there she is.
care so much? What's the controversy?
And
why does this controversy
hold on,
persist years
hype?
And why do I feel the compromised vision that Rian Johnson brought to Star Wars matters to this very day? In the
also, I just realized
Disney
Ant looks a lot like Howard Wolowitz with a more stupid haircut.
Wait, who? Howard who?
Howard Wolowitz from Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, you're
I was thinking of young Roger Ebert.
Oh my god, he does. Just put a pair of glasses on him and it's almost uncanny.
Oh my god. Oh
Yeah, he does look a bit like Roger
Ebert.
Ebert.
use of
except
Star Wars
he has a
as a
jaw.
brand.
Oh, what was that?
Oh, hang
never
on,
mind.
hang on, John, go back 10
Yeah.
seconds.
10 seconds. Gotcha. 240.
John, use the J button on your keyboard.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Holy
look
shit.
At it right there.
I almost always YouTube on mobile, so I actually didn't know that.
Rian Johnson brought to Star Wars matters to this very day in the conversation surrounding Disney and its use of Star Wars as a brand. The last
Well, it matters, but maybe not in the way you'd
What
like.
fucking
Yeah,
chapter
don't-
is this? Look at this. The Star Wars prequels left
This-
Disney stars in that place. Are you fucking
How
kidding
the
me?
fuck?
How the
JJ
Wait,
Abrams and
do you
Ryan Johnson.
realize-
Wait, what did he say?
No, hang on, John. Don't show me
Oh,
the chapter.
Jesus. Here we
Are you
go.
fucking kidding me? The fucking prequels ushered in a fucking golden age for Star Wars. Are you out
Here
of
we
your
go.
goddamn mind?
Yeah.
We got the fucking Republic comics. We got Knights of the Old Republic. We got all this good ass shit. And you say the prequels left Disney in a bad place? Get the fuck out of here, you
Yeah.
simple-minded simpleton, douchebag, fucking retard!
The joke used to be that there were way too many Star Wars games. Now we don't get hardly any because they're not popular enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more because it's like, oh, like a bunch of, because it's like the prequels got a negative reputation. You know, I think it's even got a negative reputation because, you know, like a bunch of like idiots like were like, oh my god, this movie isn't exactly how I wanted it to be. Well, yeah. I also saw JJ plagiarisms like covered a rewriting of the Phantom Menace from some guy. I don't remember what his name was. I could probably look it up. And I literally was just sat there being incredibly confused, and I'm like, this is one of them. Like, basically, like 90% of his changes were either added nothing or actively detracted from the story. Like he basically made Anakin a teenager for like.
Oh yeah, I know that guy. That's belated media. He's an idiot.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, and he also was weirdly obsessed with Obi-Wan and Padme getting together for some reason. It's like, why are you so obsessed with that? Like, that's so weird. It's like, it was just like one of the most confusing rewrites of any movie I've ever seen. Like, nothing really like added, like nothing really improved the original. It either did nothing or actively detracted from. Like, it honestly felt like he basically just watched every single Phantom Menace bad video in existence and tried to like rebuild the movie from that. Like, it really did not feel like a natural rewrite at all.
Nope.
Last Jedi follows up The Force Awakens, which was made by J.J. Abrams. Now, J.J. Abrams was given the unenviable task of revitalizing Star Wars for a new era after the controversial prequels. Prequels, mind you, at the time were the most reviled works of media around.
Star Wars The Phantom Menace was the most disappointing.
Oh, yeah, you gotta mention Red Letter Media.
A ton of problems. The biggest, though, is how they relied on these giant ideas, but the execution of those ideas alienated audiences. The dialogue was
No, it's not. No.
I mean, like, that's literally The Last Jedi. So basically, when the audience of the prequels alienates their ideas, oh, that's fine. But when the Last Jedi alienates ideas, alienate people, it's like, oh, well, you're just, closed-minded and blah 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 blah. It's like almost like you have a bias or something.
Like, even in 2005, like, I was middle or high school or whatever, I didn't, like, go back and watch the prequels all the time, but I certainly was still interested in the universe after them. It still kept the general interest there, even if you had criticisms of the storytelling or whatever. I was still like, Battlefront 2 is still fucking awesome.
Yeah, honestly, John's point, literally, like, one of the prequel trilogy's biggest strengths is what it adds to the world building. That's an objective strength with them.
I mean, it opened up a whole new era without ruining the original.
Were added to the, because it's like, and because there was a lot of like lore and interesting stuff. Because it's like a lot of people just hated the prequels for not being the OT again, but that wasn't really the point. It was more to not just establish the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker and how he turned in.
It is mostly like story time, right? Like you look at the performances and the writing, and
again, I think it's like a lot. I think it's just a case of where audiences at that time just like weren't, because there's certain movies out that really kind of failed because they just weren't really like acceptable to the audience. Kind of like the movie version of the Back to the Future line. You may not get it now, but your kids are gonna love it.
Well, and it's one thing to genuinely make something that's controversial or that your audience doesn't completely connect with. I think the difference with The Last Jedi is that he made it with the intention to piss off half the audience. George Lucas didn't go out to make the prequels saying, I'm going to piss off half the audience here.
When you look at The Last Jedi, it's all about how they have to destroy the past events or whatever the fuck he was talking about. But then you get to the end of that movie and it's just, it's the generic good versus bad again. So it's they keep throwing these red herrings, and yet they still stick to formula. It really doesn't make any sense.
They're cock teasing doing something interesting, and they'll push it right up to the brink, but then they won't actually divert all that much.
Like that was probably the most interesting point. Like, oh, Kylo and Ray, what's her name? Ray? I keep forgetting. Yeah. You get to that scene where like he betrays his master or whatever, and it seems like they're gonna work together or whatever. But then you get to the end, it's just it's her versus him again.
Yeah.
Basically, The Last Jedi wants the appearance of doing something smart and interesting without actually doing something smart or interesting.
Yep, basically.
Anyway, moving on.
Sound.
The excessive effects looked bad and artificial, and the industry was not ready for some of those effects to be such a big deal.
And what do you think they should have done instead? What do you think they should have done? Because, John, go back by like 5 seconds right there. Go back by like 5 seconds.
Dialogue was sloppy.
I don't like sound.
The excessive effects looked...
What? Like, seriously, look at this fucking set. Look at this. Do you know how much fucking money that would have made to build? And not just this set. Let's look at every other set. You got in Naboo, Mustafar especially would have been impractical as all hell to film on. This was their only option. And you know what? It still holds up all these years today. So,
I mean, yeah, it doesn't even look that bad.
Please
like, if you
tell
want,
me, Hans, please tell me, what do you think they should have? You think they should have built up more fucking models? You think they should have built up more fucking sets? Why do that when the technology is right there, just waiting to be used? God!
It's like, plus, like, if you want actual bad special effects, watch Superman 4. Like, oh my god, like, even by 80s movie standards, that movie's effects are like, the Superman and Nuclear Man fight is one of the most unintentionally funny scenes in movie history. Like, every single element is just so, like, the effects on that scene are genuinely some of the worst I've ever seen. I'm literally, like, holding back laughter thinking about it. It's like, and it's what is wrong with this shot? It looks fine. What's wrong with it? Like,
well, and I think honestly, what people got a little spoiled by like Lord of the Rings and stuff, and they didn't appreciate what a monumental scale it was to make the effects look that good in the early 2000s. Star Wars being sci-fi, they had to naturally do even more CGI in the same time era. And I was trying to compare era, in the same era, something I was trying to think of.
Prequel trilogy was a little bit before Lord of the Rings, so John.
Well, it was the first one was, then Attack of the Clones was 02, so that would have been the same year as the Two Towers, and then Revenge of the Sith was just after. So I'm just saying, like, effects-wise, it's in the same era like they're using CGI, but they're probably, and Phantom Menace has a lot of great practical effects. The Nemoidians were practical heads. We won't talk about the Yoda puppet. I'm fine with the puppet, but obviously it didn't look probably as good as the Empire one. My point is, like, people are like, oh, well, you could just do it like Luda. I'm like, Luda was fucking filmed all in one scene. He had to trick the studio into doing that. He did a lot of tricks to make the CGI look better by zooming really far out and everything. And it's not set in a sci-fi universe, so you can practically build a lot more of that stuff anyway. So comparing big budget film to big budget film in the early 2000s, I'm just like, it's the best CG you're going to see in a big budget film in the early 2000s is in the Star Wars prequels. So,
and on the subject of the Yoda puppet, from what I understand, Yoda being CGI was the original intention. That's why they used CGI Yoda for Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. But George didn't like the original CGI model that was presented to him of Yoda, so they made the puppet at the very last minute. That's why young Yoda looks kind of, shoddy as he
did not know that. Thank you.
And there's
of course,
a fun fact for the day, folks. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
Bad and artificial, and the film industry was not ready for some of those effects to be such a big part of the filmmaking process. Several characters felt underdeveloped, and events often transpired without clear...
That looked fine. Why is he using these shots?
Hold on. What the fuck do you mean underdeveloped? Who? Which ones? You can't just say some characters are underdeveloped and then move on to that. You mean the Jedi Council in that scene right there? Yeah, of course they're gonna be underdeveloped. They're background characters. They are not important to the plot, you dumbass!
He took the robot chicken sketch too seriously, where the one Jedi Master's like, "It's only you two talking. Somebody else can talk in the council."
What do you want them to do? Ant, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to say, "Hi, my name is Aporancissus. I'm of this species from this planet, and I'm a Jedi Master for this long." And what do you want them to do? You want them to
should be very happy that they did not do that, because otherwise Kiadi Moody would have been like, "I'm only 47 years old, by the way."
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with the prequels, to be honest. Like, on one hand, yeah, they could have been told better, but at the same time, a lot of it is open-ended for potential stories, which is what the Clone Wars at least did. To an extent, like there's no set amount to the number of members on the Jedi Council. Like, you could imagine or make up a Jedi Master and his Padawan for a potential story.
It's usually somewhere around 12 in that ballpark. Yeah.
And they also forget that. And again, Ant's also forgetting that this was like still around like the time when because it's like with now Star Wars is like a massive like thing with like a ton of different intricacies and lore behind it, but like the prequels, this whole Star Wars was still kind of being developed, so we were still kind of working the.
I kind of disagree with you there, Jeremy, because an expanded universe and everything after Return of the Jedi certainly was, but this era, not really. No, you are right there, because this part of the Star Wars timeline was specifically said by George. Don't do anything in this time period. This is completely off limits, and I'm working in this. So basically, you are half right there. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I was going to say, that with all the Jedi in the background, many of them have already been given names. They're already kind of promoted and all of the merchandising, because I'm pretty sure Ant kind of forgot, but the marketing for the prequels, they were huge at the time. Even characters who barely got screen time.
The marketing, I've seen a ton of videos. There was some of the Star Wars merch was insane. There's this YouTuber named Slow Start, and he actually made a pretty good video about like some of the insane Star Wars merch that exists, and it's like a pretty especially it's like some of it is like, I'm like, they basically were like took some of them there were basically like, let's just take a bunch of random things in a hat and just slap Star Wars on it for the sake of having. There was actually like an alien, I think there was actually a alien there was actually like a Star Wars alien mascot that was like for a. Marfalump. There was like an alien. A Star Wars alien named Morphalump created exclusively to sell Pepsi.
What? I've never heard of this guy. What the fuck?
You did? Oh my god! Yeah! Oh my god! It even has a Wikipedia entry. Yeah, Morphalump exclusive.
How the fuck have I never heard of this guy? What the
shit? Hold on. I'll link it to the Discord real quick. Hold on.
What is this? Hold on.
Oh, should I display it?
Yeah,
hold on, I got it.
All right, where's
Oh my god.
I got it on my screen. What the fuck?
Oh.
What on God's green earth? What is this? Marfalump.
That's a Marfalump.
Alien male who was adopted by a human family who lived in Iowa on the planet Earth, who loves Star Wars and soda Pepsi. Marfalump had yellow eyes and mottled purple skin, and he stood at a height of 4 feet. He wore a white sleeve t-shirt with Star Wars printed on it.
What a shill.
That's good shit.
The alien was a shill. End of story.
Fuck,
He was the original shill.
Yeah.
He would have had a YouTube channel, been like, guys, every Star Wars is a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna wear Star Wars on my clothes every day. Oh.
My God.
I'm sure
Alright.
he'll later be adopted by Star Wars Explained.
The thing he likes Pepsi.
Well,
The Coke ain't looking too good.
And you?
Yeah, go ahead. Hang on, John. Yeah, but I just to reiterate my point, it's like, there's simply just no time in the prequels to give any background characters any more development. The film is solely about Anakin's rise and fall and the Republic turning into the Empire. Just any deviation from that would have just detracted from that, and that's how. And this motherfucking criticism is why we get bullshit like, oh well, the clone army didn't get developed enough, so thank God Dave Filoni came along and gave all the clones character development, even though it contradicted their origins. But anyway, yeah, John, go back 10 seconds.
Okay.
That was a good impersonation.
Yeah, you're welcome there.
Not ready for some of those effects to be such a big part of the filmmaking
Star
process.
Wars.
Several characters felt underdeveloped, and
I love
events
the shots he
often
picks, though. It looks
transpired
perfectly
without
fine
clear
in the council
cause and
chambers.
effect. There's a statement from the writers of South Park where they say if you're writing a script and you say, the characters do this and this happened, they already reject it. It should be the characters do this so this happens, or
That
but
has nothing to do with
this happens.
effects.
Cause, effect. Good storylines rely on cause and effect to drive action.
Okay, well,
And in the prequels, it often feels like cause and effect.
Well, we already know that. We already know why. Okay, he's basically saying like we need to know more about why the characters are doing what they're doing, and not just what they're doing. The prequels already do that, and you just need to pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, the main criticism I hear of the actual story structure, people say, oh, well, this was rushed, or they skipped, from here to here pretty, they don't deny that these arcs took place. There's minor criticisms of, like, the pacing of the arcs or the inflection points of the arcs, but it's not destroyed at a bone level like the fucking sequels are. The sequels are, like, at the structure, they're completely fucked. The whole house falls down. The prequels are more like, oh, some of that siding doesn't look good, or that paint job wasn't as much as I'd like. You can still, that's like way fine compared to the fucking sequels. Yeah.
It is kind of random. Take the first film, The Phantom Menace. Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, go to meet the Trade Federation to settle some trade
More
disputes.
fine-looking shots, by the way.
Droids attack. Because the Trade Federation wants to stop these discussions from happening. So they go to Naboo. And they encounter Jar Jar Binks. Now, you see, right?
A Naboo native in the swamps.
Because there was an invasion. What are you talking about? Didn't they explain this in the opening crawl?
Jar Jar is the key to all of this.
And I'm not going to pretend it's well written, but
they're not going to run into him in space. Like he's a
I mean,
primitive
yeah,
creature.
I mean, sure, you can say what you want about the writing, but so far,
Exactly.
everything is making sense.
Yeah.
Ant wanted him to be.
Yeah, it's
Ant wanted him to be
poorly
Jar Jar.
written.
That's what he wants.
It's poorly written, but it makes sense. If that's
Well, by
if that makes sense.
definition, like running into the droids.
The ironic thing is that Ant's probably going to be claiming, oh, people just hate on Star Wars to hate on it. Like, a lot of these prequel criticisms, it basically just feels like these criticisms are made solely because he wants to hate the prequels in order to justify the Disney trilogy and by extension the Last
I've
Jedi's existence.
spoken with Ant, and he hates the prequels. The only one he considers mildly good is Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, because that's basically the one that basically the one token film that the prequel haters like because it has a lot of action in it.
It's very quotable too.
Well, I
So
think
this is how
Anakin
Democracy
was
dies.
interesting.
in
I mean, all the
applause.
prequels are quotable. I mean, all the prequels are quotable. Like, there's like so many memes that were birthed from like the prequels. I still love the hello there meme.
Hello there.
Yeah, Yeah, what's
Well,
what's the
that
one
technically
meme you
started
can
in
give
New
from
Hope.
the Disney trilogy?
You really
They fly now? They fly now.
Yet.
Somehow Palpatine returns.
Yeah, somehow Palpatine return is the one.
Yeah, like 2 or 3.
Well, I think the difference is those ones were memed because of how bad they were. Bad they were. Another great one. That scene in I think one of the Star Wars movies where he's like, "You don't want to sell me death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life." That's hilarious. That one's hilarious.
Padme and Anakin, that's the funniest shit ever.
Don't forget,
The
not just the
so-called
men,
effect
the women and
ends.
children too.
They meet Jar Jar Binks, and they have to go to the capital of Naboo. So Jar Jar brings them to the Gungan City, and they go to Gungan City, and what does that have to do with getting to the?
Why is he confused?
They go to the Gungan City to get a ship to get to Theed faster. That's
Also,
why.
they knew they had to go to
find
the
out they
capital
can go
the
through
moment
the
they got
planet
there.
core.
How the fuck
They were
did
trying to
you
get
miss
to the leader of
that?
Naboo.
Yeah.
Because again, he isn't paying attention because he just wants to bash on the prequels.
That's
in order to
something
break
I notice a
with
lot
Disney.
about prequel haters. They just do not pay attention at all to the film, like at all.
Yeah, because again, because they don't pay attention to the actual film because all they're interested in it is hating on them for either the sake of hating on it, or in the case of Ant, to basically prop up the Disney trilogy. And it's like, oh, this is better because it looks more like Star Wars and stuff. It's like, and then they call us the ones without media literacy.
And he's purposely misusing this whole prep. He's like, oh, the South Parkers, so this. So I'm just going to say "and" with every plot point of this prequel film to make it seem like they're disobeying this rule, when in reality, it's actually, thus far, what he's recapped is incredibly logical. Of course they had to go. He said, and they have to go to Theed, as if that's some random plot point. It's like, no, they showed up as negotiators between the Trade Federation and the government of Naboo. They need to talk to the government of Naboo because the Trade Federation tried to kill them. And this is very clearly explained
anything
by...
sounds stupid when you describe it in that way. Like Back to the Future. Marty met Doc at the Twin Pines Mall, and Doc made him a time. Doc shows him the time machine, and the Libyans show up, and he ends up and they end up running away, and Marty ends up traveling back.
Somehow, Darth Vader is Luke's father. Convoluted much?
Yeah.
Like
it's
all
like,
in terms of wording.
Somehow Rey has magical force powers.
Yeah.
And it's like they'll, and again, one thing I absolutely hate is how they'll minimize plot holes in the later films because they're like, oh well there's bad stuff in the old movies too, so why didn't? And it's like one, who's to say that that they didn't criticize those things, and two, you can excuse bad elements of a film if the overall project is good. Like, if a film has a plot hole and it still manages to be... Like, for one of the biggest examples, Citizen Kane has quite possibly one of the biggest plot holes in existence. There's literally no way any person in the movie could have known that Charles Foster Kane's last words were Rosebud, and yet that's what the entire...
Jeremy, it was his butler who knew.
Oh, I thought I heard. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh.
When you see Charles Foster Kane's lips say Rosebud, it's from the point of view of his butler. I forget his
And they
name.
recap that briefly. They're like, oh, his butler heard it or something.
Yeah.
They mention whenever they're narrating it later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, but it's like my point still stands. A movie can still be good and have like a plot hole, even a massive plot hole. The problem is that a movie like. The problem is, if a movie has, bad elements and nothing to make up for it, then the plot holes in it would, basically actively make the movie worse. Which is why people are more critical of plot holes in a movie like The Rise of Skywalker than they would be in an otherwise good movie.
Yeah.
But again, it's like people like
I just want to know what.
See again.
I just want to know what makes Ant think
we know how logically...
the Last Jedi is good, and what makes the Rise of Skywalker bad. That's all I want to know.
All right, John, go back.
I mean,
to
talk about it in this video. It's an hour long. Oh, hey, wait. Can we go Long Man Bad to this video?
Yeah, we could.
It's on the edge. Just
Yeah,
feature
how do you
length,
like it? Long man bad, Anthony. Long man bad, huh?
Your
Huh?
videos are
How do you like that?
too long. Anyway,
You can watch Warfare or watch this movie.
Brings them to the Gungan city, and they go to Gungan City. And what does that have to do with getting to the capital? See, again, right there.
Because they have to go through the planet core to reach the
we know how
capital.
it logically brings the characters to the Naboo capital, but it's a lot of murkiness. It doesn't seem...
No, it's very clear.
Define your terms, please.
Transpire. Yes, before you comment,
Basically,
I know they go to
pause
Gungan
it,
City
pause it.
initially.
So basically, he thinks that it's incredibly illogical because, wait a minute, they went to this location to find a faster way to go to another location rather than just going to that location? Oh my god, that's such a massive problem. What is it?
What do you want them to do, and go on foot?
Well, they have to bring up a map of the planet. They have
It's
to.
like, yeah, it's like saying, oh my god. It's like saying, oh, it's like saying, oh well, why would you go to an airport? Like if you if you say you live in Florida and you're going to vacation to Japan or something, Ant would be like, oh, why would you go to an airport to take a plane to Japan when you could just go walk to Japan? Because sometimes taking the direct location isn't fast enough, and you need a way, and you need to go to somewhere else to get something to get you somewhere else. Like that's not.
This is very confusing and murky to me.
Yeah.
They literally had to alert the Naboo citizens.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they said that.
Yeah, John, go back 10 seconds. We keep talking over him, guys. Moving on.
Naboo capital, but it's a lot of murkiness. It doesn't seem like a logical series of events that transpire. Yes, before you comment, I know they go to Gungan City initially to avoid the Trade Federation droids because the city is hidden.
But the safest place would be Gunga City. It's where I grew up. 'Tis a hidden city.
So what is the issue,
I
Ann?
am aware they go to Gungan City to get the vehicles to travel to the planet core to get to the Naboo capital. However, the problem is this isn't clearly communicated to us. And indeed,
how is it not clearly communicated?
Driving an area hits a wall.
Are you blind?
Yeah.
Movie that's full of you for not paying attention.
Media literacy.
I'll say this. I was much less confused watching this whenever I was 7 years old than I was watching The Rise of Skywalker at however the fuck old I was then. Like, that was like, we have a knife and it lines up with the water and blah, blah, blah. Like, what the fuck? And then this is like...
Sorry, you're saying?
Oh my god. Oh my god. If EFAP ever covers this video...
Oh, it's gonna be the best day ever.
Oh, yes. Anyway, moving on.
Watching this Am video is confusing.
Yeah. For it. Yeah. Is there cause and effect? To an extent, sure. But the problem is, the audience doesn't see this clearly unless you're really paying attention to every single line. Which...
Oh shit!
I was 7, you fuck.
Sorry the film didn't fucking hold your hand like a fucking toddler the whole way through. Fucking Christ.
Okay, wait. So let me get this straight. So when the audience criticizes a stupid plot hole or some ridiculous nonsense in The Last Jedi or some modern garbage you're defending, they're media illiterate. They are media illiterate. But when the audience misses an obvious cue in the prequels, then that's the film's fault rather than the audience for not paying attention.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that apparently makes sense. Herky-derky do.
That checks out.
It's so easy to criticize movies, guys. I can just say, I didn't understand this one, and I did understand this one, therefore this one's better.
This is another one to the list of shit we shouldn't let Ant lift down. Anyway, moving on.
It's so disingenuous. It's like he
care because they're basically as brain as echo chamber driven as he is.
Eric, what were you gonna say?
The line of thinking is so like he says he doesn't know why these things are happening. Then he explains why these things are happening, and he's saying, "Oh, well, it wasn't communicated well enough." It's never enough. You can never win with this guy, apparently.
Never enough.
Because again, he basically just wants to denigrate the prequels solely for the sake of denigrating the prequels. And if you hate a movie, if you hate a movie solely to hate it, then you're going to work your criticisms around, work every single criticism of the movie into it being bad, rather than naturally criticizing the film. Which is what Ant's doing. He's taking all these things and basically twisting them into being bad because he wants them to be bad and he wants them to not make sense.
Let's be fair, the way Jar Jar talks, it can be a little difficult. Events are presented in a way that's very disjointed.
It's racist.
Take Anakin and Padme's romance.
It's
often
fine. It's good.
complicated by artificial romantic sets and this unnatural forced dialogue.
I don't like sand.
And that's not even from the Phantom Menace.
They're socially inept, you dingus. Kind of like you.
It's like this isn't supposed to be like a Princess Bride type romance.
Well, and honestly, even if
it's funny.
Having problems with a specific line of dialogue is a lot different than saying they fuck Luke.
He showed the scene where Anakin is like, I don't like sand because all over the place. I would say Anakin has a pretty good reason of hating sand because, well, for one, he was a slave on a desert planet.
Yeah.
So obviously sand will cause some kind of, mutual trauma there. Plus, he grew up pretty sheltered. I would sure, he had friends, but he never had much of a social life outside of, slavery and blood race. And so
the minute he went into the Jedi Order, his social life fucking died there. And Padme, on her end, she didn't have much, a social life either. I'm not super familiar with her backstory before The Phantom Menace, but from what I recall, she also didn't have many friends. She was mainly just, dressed up by her parents, hey, here's our little daughter, it's the princess, and she didn't have much either. She was mainly devoted to taking over from her parents and whatnot, and that's basically
he was raised to be a politician, essentially.
Yeah, she was raised to be a politician. Anakin, he was raised to be a Jedi, so you got two people who aren't good at this socializing shit, and they're basically learning as they're going, and they have these feelings they don't know how to fucking reconcile, and they're unnaturally drawn to each other. It makes sense.
And Anakin also has the Jedi code of...
And think about the characters and their backstories and all that, you would kind of understand, sure, maybe the dialogue and the writing and the acting is a little wooden, but if you think about it makes sense. It is by design, yes.
Well, I was gonna say, isn't there social stat, because there's the Jedi code of, you're not supposed to hook up with another?
Nope. Yep.
And she said she's a senator, and I think there's some rules, but I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember, but...
I mean, yeah, it's like...
Also, purist, if I got Padme's backstory wrong, let me know in the comments. Anyway, where's it, Jeremy?
It's not even getting...
Oh, I was going to... Oh, no, it's nothing.
Okay, go on, John.
How aggressive Anakin comes across in Attack of the Clones.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault.
His mom died.
He's
jealous.
Just died, you idiot.
Well, murdered.
He's aggressive.
To be more
He's kind of
also
emotionally
attacked,
distressed.
a ton of it. Wasn't this Also, plus, wasn't this the point where he murdered all
He killed all the
sand
people.
Yeah. He killed all the sand people.
Yeah, he killed a ton of innocent people, and he feels bad for it. How else is he supposed to react, Ant?
Yeah, it's a lot of frustration boiling to the surface. I wouldn't say he's aggressive. He's not directing this at Padme. He's expressing, he's venting to her.
Frustration.
Yeah, it's criticizing the prequel. Again, it's criticizing a scene in the prequels, not for because it's actually bad, but because he wants it to be bad, because he doesn't like the idea of the prequels, so he just wants to twist everything into being bad to suit his own narrative.
Yeah.
Which is ironically what people like Ant claim that people like Brinker and Mahler and Nerdrotic do, when in reality they just point at the film and criticize the film like actual critics do.
Moving on.
Nope. I'll take this.
Let's move on.
What's wrong, Annie?
And again, their relationship is this is happening, and they're having a romance. It doesn't feel like the romance is tied in with the events beyond there being a space facilitated for them to romance in. It doesn't feel organic. But that said, not all of the prequels are bad. Revenge of the Sith is the best of the prequels because
Oh, there it is.
follow.
There it is.
You see very clearly how events lead into what follows.
I'm not a
It is that
prequel hater.
Structure. You
I like the third
understand
one.
what everyone wants.
That counts, right?
I masturbate to Revenge of the
And
Sith.
it leads
I'm
to
like you
scenes
guys.
where the catharsis of the moment is presented on screen. It's not a great movie, but it feels like a cinematic story that has some weight behind the
It's
actions
not a great movie.
because we understand what events transpire.
Oh my god.
He does the classic thing that a lot of people do where they're like, I want to appear like I'm the neutral one. So like, oh, sure, these soldiers maybe committed some war crimes, but your soldiers are the evil one. It's like, see, I admitted that mine might do it at some point one time maybe, so I'm very neutral and unbiased, you see. That's like
Yeah,
what
it's
all
basically
he's
like
doing
how.
with this.
Yeah, it's basically like how a lot of these. It's like how a lot of the shills will basically go, oh, see, I made this minor criticism of Disney once. Now I can basically shill for them and act like their lapdog. Or, oh, hey, I criticized Rise of Skywalker once. That means that I can basically shill for the sequel trilogy. Sequel trilogy. Like, no, the fact that you criticized it once and give it light little like punches doesn't like neutralize it, because in case you haven't forgotten, actions speak louder than words.
Moving on, John.
Right.
To lead inevitably to the tragic conclusion. Now, Abrams, he saw the problem with the prequels, that it was disjointed, and with his films, he decided the direction to go in was to make the narrative flow feel cathartic. The Force Awakens is a designed to give audience
Yeah, with this mystery box, I'm sure it was
designed to
cathartic.
please the average crowd. But as a result, the film leaves you with a lot of questions. For example, what's the First Order? We're never really told this in the first film. How is the Resistance?
I know, right?
Wait, but we don't know who the...
They're a discount Imperial remnant. That's who they are.
Well, and that's a stupid question to ask anyway. Like, at least have good criticisms, Ant. Like, we didn't know who the Emperor was at the end of A New Hope. We hadn't even seen his fucking face. Like, of course not everything's going to be revealed in the first movie of a trilogy. And if you're going to want all the revelations in fucking Phantom Menace, like, come on. Like, we hadn't even met Count Dooku in that. Like, you want, like, these weird things in the first movie of a trilogy. Like, I get that JJ teased and did a lot of mystery boxes, but that's not one of the things that I would criticize it for. I don't need him to thoroughly explain every aspect of everything in the first movie. It's just a weird criticism.
It's just weird how he's phrasing it. Like, they're doing this movie just to remake A New Hope. It's just to recapture the feeling that everyone kind of missed, apparently. Like, I don't know what he means by, oh, it's cathartic. Oh, it's full circle. Fuck out of here with that.
Because it had big music, and, you know, I'll say, oh, wow, there's a good tracking shot during the one fighter thing. It doesn't fix the fucking structural problem. Like, with all the characters and all the old characters getting fucked over, and, yeah.
That is led by Leia, different from the New Republic they just built at the end of the previous trilogy. Who is Snoke? How did we get here, anyway? And while these answers would be partially answered by later shows like The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, we're left with no real answer.
Did they? I don't remember that.
Ahsoka has to do with this.
What happened in the trilogy?
I didn't watch Ahsoka, but I don't remember Mandalorian explaining
It has nothing to do with Snoke. I don't know what he's talking
Does
about.
can anyone give us a TLDR on it, or just a summary?
I have no idea. I largely
TLDR of Ahsoka? I can assume
No,
Ahsoka
on
on
Snoke, like him, like who he is, like or how Mandalorian and Ahsoka revealed that.
He's Palpatine's Force puppet. I would say the two things, like Mandalorian, you could say, oh, they're trying to make Force clones for 3 seasons. So, you know, I guess maybe you could say they're alluding to that because they have Project Necromancer whenever the Imperials are meeting. But even that's vague as fuck, and they don't feel like committing to it because they know everybody hates the Rise of Skywalker. Then the only other show that I think has anything to do with it, I didn't watch the 3rd season, but Bad Batch. I think I made it. I started the 2nd season and I couldn't do it.
Bad Batch supposedly ties into this fucking.
Because Omega's a Force clone.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate Omega so
Omega.
much. Omega. She is a
Yes.
retcon on legs.
He has a lightsaber bow, which makes no sense.
I think it's telling how in The Force Awakens,
3 seasons of that shit?
the Starkiller base destroys the entire system that the Republican Senate is centered on, and audiences don't even know it happened. The average person probably doesn't even know that scene where they blow up all those planets. That's the Republican center. That's the center of the New Republic. And it's
You wish it were the Republicans.
And it's given no dignity. We are given no time to linger on how this impacts the saga. Things fall apart.
Which is not addressed in The Last Jedi either, by the way.
So basically, Ant's logic is when something isn't addressed in the prequel trilogy, then that's the film's fault. But if something isn't addressed in the sequel trilogy, then it's fine, whatever, no big deal.
Or it's JJ's fault, not Ryan.
It's fine because they'll get expanded upon later on in a fucking TV show or something. And you do realize it's kind of a failing on the movie's part if it doesn't explain all its plot points and then has to rely on external media like the TV shows to bail them out. That's kind of a bad thing, you know?
Another thing, again, it's like Ant's like, oh, well, I mean, it's not a good thing. And it's like with the prequels, he's like, oh, well, it's not a good thing that, you know, that this information isn't established to the audience. The audience might not inherently know that. Meanwhile, when it comes to the sequel trilogy, oh, well, it's fine that it's not explained. They'll just have to do additional research in War 1. And it's like, so it's like when a movie does it, it's bad, but when they have to like defer to like external material and have to go every which way to find a simple explanation, that's fine. Again, it's almost bias.
Now that logic, Ant, all of the external media for the prequels, like you have to apply that to those films too. Seriously, the Revenge of the Sith novelization literally makes the film better. No fucking joke. Anyway.
But remember, Disney retconned all that, so it doesn't count.
We don't have any books or material. No.
Yeah, so who cares about all that? Let's just watch the generic garbage that Disney cranked out. Because that's totally good, you know.
Thanks, Disney. Thanks.
Abrams didn't seem to talk about that, but Rian Johnson did. This is the philosophy between what Rian Johnson had to pick up versus what J.J. Abrams dropped off. Abrams was interested in exploring how the First Order destroying the center of a republic can impact the loyalty between different systems. Rian Johnson was. This key philosophical difference guides...
Rian Johnson never addressed that. He completely ignored and went to a casino planet.
Yeah, any ideas that JJ had, he completely ignored.
Yeah, legit.
And it's like,
when did they even talk about the New Republic in The Last Jedi? Like, not really at all.
Oh, you probably wouldn't impact.
Like the problem with this overall sequel trilogy is that it was kind of at the end made for nobody, because the original film won over, you know, for the people that won over. Like, yeah, it started out with the Force Awakens, which, again, in terms of the people that it was won over by, you know, they liked it. Then with The Last Jedi, it pissed off the people who liked The Force Awakens because they were like, what the heck? None of the cool stuff that was in The Force Awakens, you know, was set up. I don't like this anymore. And then Rise of Skywalker came out, and, you know, people, and it's like, the fact that the Force, it pissed the people who, it's like, yeah, it's like, and again, the only reason that people like Ant are defending the sequel trilogy and are still insisting that it's good is because they desperately want it to be good because it's Disney and it's Star Wars. Disney Star Wars has to be good because it's Disney Star Wars. Disney Star Wars has to be good.
Ant is not a Disney shill. Ant has criticized Disney before, so that means he is not a shill.
Is the direct
Anyway, moving on.
Of both films. One is more
Well, I think I'm gonna get.
Other is more.
I'm a little tired, so I think I'll log off for today, boys.
Bye, Kino.
Okay, cool.
All right, good luck.
Yeah.
Now we're long Ant video. We're gonna need it.
Yeah.
Action narrative. However, central to all the questions people had with The Force Awakens was one above all else. Why did Luke go looking for the first Jedi temple and just stay there? The whole film is centered on finding a map to find Luke Skywalker. It's the MacGuffin to drive action. Yet, we never really know why Luke left, what he's trying to accomplish, or what. It's more just trying to find him. And so Abrams left us off with a cliffhanger. Rey finding Luke, handing off the lightsaber. We're going to get our answers next film. These mysteries are to be solved. Now, Abrams, of course, is famous for the whole mystery box structure of storytelling, where the mystery of what will happen drives suspense in the narrative, and it drives action to get to the answers. But it doesn't really matter what the answer is if you present another mystery at the end of that direction.
That's not what they needed to... See, he's trying to present it like leaving mysteries made it natural that the next film would either fail or be controversial, which isn't true at all. There were a number of ways you could have handled Luke being on the island that wouldn't have pissed off nearly as many people. He could have been stranded there because Snoke shot down his ship as he stole Kylo or something and stranded him there, and he didn't tell anybody where they had gone because he was trying to run away from Snoke with Kylo or something before that. So, there's a number of... That was the dumbest possible way to do it, is what he did. So answering a mystery badly, yeah, it's on JJ a little bit because he left it all open-ended. He didn't have any plans. That's a pretty big token of it. But also, you're unskilled if you answer it the worst possible way.
No, I honestly think it's both. It's just like, I don't know. I've never really... And I'm saying looking back, because when you first watch it, like, it's fine. You give it that because you're thinking, okay, it will be resolved in the next film, but looking back on it, it's just like that's a decision that doesn't really gel with me because, like he said earlier, the film never bothers to explain why any of this is a mystery in the first place.
Yeah, well, he essentially punted because he was like, I got a trilogy, I'll set up a bunch of mystery boxes, and he didn't, if you remember, he didn't initially plan to come back for the third one, so he's probably thinking, well, of course, the next 2 films, they can have a lot of reveals, and they can whatever, and I'm not excusing JJ, because he should have had fucking outline, well, honestly, this goes back to leadership, and Kathleen Kennedy should have sat down all 3 directors and said, all right, boys, what's our basic outline? You can have your artistic integrity, sure, but we need to come up with basic-ass plot points, like who the fuck Rey's parents are before we start actually filming any of these.
Dude, Daisy Ridley legit had no idea what Rey's parentage was before, as they were filming Rise of Skywalker. Absolutely a shit show.
Well, I can show no emotion because I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
I find myself drawn to infinite possibilities, sense of potential, and I realize that mystery is the catalyst for imagination. Maybe there are times when mystery is
27 paradigm shift.
Another mystery, another question. Well, at a certain point, fans got to go, okay, we're going to get the answers to this, right? Right? So when you compare that with a director with a very different style of storytelling, like Rian Johnson, who does not follow the mystery box structure like Abrams does, you're going to get some issues. You're going to rub against each other in a way that's very complicated, because Rian Johnson's style is more deconstructive, self-reflective.
Yeah, you don't see that as an issue?
For the sake of this video, before hiring other directors to begin with.
What's that?
Who didn't make a whole plan for the whole trilogy, just allowing whoever they hired to do whatever they want to begin with?
Yep. Well, that's what I was saying with, like, make the outline, but also, even if you're not going to make an outline, my God, at least hire directors that are, going to jive with each other. Like, this is bad at the hiring level now, in addition to the planning level.
Like, a comparison I would make would be like when they switched from Zack Snyder to Josh Whedon. It's like, these two visions don't go with each other. What are we fucking doing?
Basically, the entire sequel trilogy is one giant game of tug-of-war, really.
Basically. But guys, she was so good at getting Spielberg's coffee in the 80s. Come on.
Basically, Force Awakens was J.J. Abrams going, it's mine. And then Rian Johnson was going, no, it's mine. And then The Rise of Skywalker is the thing breaking, and now nobody gets it.
Yeah, pretty much.
If I can't have it, no one can.
People conflate deconstruction with demolition. That is to say, destroying a plot, showing how terrible it is, how foolish it is, etc. But rather, deconstruction is taking the components of narrative apart to see how they function in the greater whole. That is to say, a trope can be taken apart.
Well, I hope he's not going to read all this, but
and the rest analyzed, and it's examined how this trope aids with the progress of a narrative. The way the writing process for these sequels were, it's very well known. It feels like every director was just given a film in a lineup and told, do your own thing. Respond to whatever the guy before you did. As it turns out, Abrams would be brought back to quote-unquote fix what Rian Johnson did because Disney panicked when not everyone liked Rian Johnson's vision. But the problem is, Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams initially were not communicating between what they wanted. So the entire
whose fault is that?
Disjointed.
Are you going to criticize Kathleen Kennedy for this at all is what I'm wondering if that's where he's going with this, because I know he's not going to, but he's going to blame it on these two guys who were hired.
Who did nothing wrong and is just an evil target for the chuds because she's a woman, ignoring the many times they criticize straight white men.
Well, and a lot of what he's saying, I actually agree with, but I know he's going to put the blame in the wrong place. Yes, these things happen.
Yeah, Abrams and Johnson deserve their share of the blame, but let's not act like Kathleen Kennedy is completely innocent in all this. She didn't know how to organize shit. Let's be real here.
And this is her job. You're supposed to coordinate the people that you hire in order to make a cohesive, in order to better shepherd the franchise. Like that, as a producer, that's what you're supposed to do. Obviously, you're not supposed to. I'm not going to blame writing mistakes on her because she's not writing the films. Fair enough. But I'm going to criticize basic structural shit that gets completely fucked up on a $4 billion project because that's what they paid for it. The buck stops there in that instance. If there's no outline for the sequel trilogy, that's her fault.
We can't blame her for the feminist stuff, though, with Rey.
Yeah, she might have nudged him. Yeah.
And Abrams really had no.
It is honestly kind of sad to see that, how much better would the sequel trilogy have been if Finn was the main character and we got to explore his story? And it's like, his story, that's an interesting idea, having a stormtrooper go rogue and investigate his journey. When I first saw the trailers for The Force Awakens, I 100% thought Finn was going to be the main character, and I'm sure a ton of other people were, but for some reason...
They purposely misdirected. Yeah, they purposely misdirected to make it seem like that's what the film was about. That's why I fucking went. I was like, hell yeah, I want to see this guy.
That's way more interesting, but instead, they were like, nope, Rey's going to be the main character, and Finn's entire potential as a character just isn't going to be explored. Why? Because the Kool-Aid Man is red, and blah, blah, blah. And any criticism we get can be labeled as bigotry, because clearly if you criticize,
what's better? Is it better for me to be sexist or racist? I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my god! Wait! Before we go, one of the funniest copes from sequel, they basically are claiming that the only reason that people are defending Finn was because their sexism was stronger than their racism, and that they hated Finn. They praised Finn so that they could denigrate and hate Rey. Not making that up. That is one of their arguments, and it is
all these racist chuds are more sexist than racist. You fucking assholes!
Tying themselves into knots. Tie themselves into knots rather than just admit the movie is bad. Jeez Louise.
Oh my god, that is the funniest shit I've heard. Thank you.
Actually answering any of the questions he was setting up outside the superficial level of it.
I feel like this episode's
Rian Johnson,
though,
did want to give answers
into Ant's actual video.
He just had answers that he knew would be devastating to the audience and chose them deliberately because it would cause the most frustration. It would cause the most pain. Sometimes questions don't have big answers. Sometimes they have sad, small answers that force you to reevaluate things. And through reevaluation, you find bigger, more meaningful ideas. However, the problem is he's working with Bob Iger. He's working with Disney.
Bob Iger, not Kathleen. Okay.
Oh, it's his fault.
Audiences are
That's how he's going to get Kathleen off the hook.
Always left happy.
Oh yeah. These people love to. The only person the only higher up people. Okay, there's the thing about people that in power that they criticize. The only people in power that they criticize that aren't like just formless corporate heads are basically people like Elon Musk and Bob Chapek that don't have their values, and Bob Iger. And the thing is, Bob Iger does deserve a lot of the blame, but the thing is, there's him out because not only does he have a lot of the blame, but he's a white man, so that way none of their criticisms can be bigoted.
Yeah.
Yep. Time to think, well, that means you might not buy figures or plushies or stuff like that. That's the problem with getting an actual director who makes films for adults to work on your Star Wars film. Because Johnson understood a key thing.
Star Wars
in order to bring
adults to begin with, so I don't know. Like,
I really hope Ann wasn't implying what he just implied there, because it really sounds like he's saying that Star Wars is just for kids.
Oh my God.
Just before The Last Jedi, it was.
It's a movie about space wizards.
You know, the film that's literally one of the most revolutionary sci-fi films in existence. Yeah, just space stuff.
Star Wars does feel like it could be for kids because, you know, it has all sorts of merchandising, marketing opportunities that definitely could pander to the kiddies. But at the heart of it, Star Wars is really, as Backseater said, for adults.
Yeah, most of the fans are adults. Most of the stories are written by adults, for adults in mind. Most of the EU was by that point.
Very, very, very adult.
And it's like the thing about people
aren't going to get the whole convoluted concepts of war and genocide and all that. Kids
the thing about people like Ant is they're not interested in Star Wars because they're genuinely interested in it. They're interested in Star Wars because it's a popular franchise, and in their mind they're like, oh, Star Wars has sci-fi and it's on Disney and it's for children. They don't care about the prequels or the EU or any of the other intricate stuff. They basically just are doing it because it's the big.
It's en vogue right now.
Like, yeah, if Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and Lord of the Rings weren't popular, then these people would not give it the time of day. Back before then, like, people would be bullied for liking Star Wars and stuff. But it's like, now that it's like mainstream, there are people like Ant that are just hopping onto it because it's the great big thing. They're not interested in the actual franchise. They're just interested in how popular it is, and they just want to be like caught up in hip. Like,
here's another story.
Elser Haycon actually recently made a video on the Devil May Cry anime called "The Dynamics of Fandom: How the Mainstream Hijacked Media," and he actually like explains this in like a really good way. So definitely check out that video. It's really good, like his own.
As far as age groups go, I just think it's always a piss poor excuse to say, well, this wasn't made for yours, because the greatest good media will transcend. Like, even if Lucas says, like, oh, Star Wars is made for this age group, like, yes, I enjoyed it when I was that age, but if it's really good, like Lord of the Rings I enjoyed as a kid, and now I enjoy it as an adult. Star Wars, the original trilogy, I enjoyed as a kid, now I enjoy it as an adult. I may enjoy it for different reasons, but normally how it goes is you think that it's good as a kid, you enjoy it as a kid, and then you understand why better as an adult on a structural level, why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some of the best media of all
an
time
entire
is
rant about how awful the "it's just for kids" excuse is.
Yeah, I was trying to do it as concisely as possible, basically. Like,
you know it's for kids when you've outgrown it. That's the thing.
It's like, even if it's not for kids, it's like there are kids movies that are genuinely like well made and like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a film that openly flies in the face of it, because not only is it a kids movie, it's a sequel for a movie that basically everyone forgot about, and yet it was funny, it was well made, it was surprisingly mature, it was genuinely an incredible movie that like showed what a good kids movie could be. And even lighter kids movies like Good Burger is a movie that's like the opposite. It's an incredibly immature, stupid movie that doesn't have a ton of depth to it, but that's really what it's for. It's just a fun, but it's a fun light comedy, but at the same time, it's one that has good writing and likable characters. and doesn't treat the audience like morons. But the problem is people, like, since kids are stupid, they use the audience that, oh, well, kids are stupid, so adults should, so their media should be stupid. So it basically means that they don't want to. It basically just means that they don't have to try when making a kids movie. And people, when making that excuse, they're like, so, like the reason people defend that excuse is because they're normies, and in their mind they're like, it's like, yeah, the idea of kids movies being low standard garbage has just become so ingrained in culture that there's unfortunately a lot of people that think this way, and it's just really, really sad. Because kids movies can't be better.
As far as his point about this goes, though, to just bring it back to the video, I mean, he's saying that Rian Johnson made a more adult Star Wars. As far as I recall, it was not a bunch of kids who were cited as the Last Jedi haters. It was grown people who probably would have loved a super mature, like, we would have been fine with that. It's the fact that it's a bad movie. It's not that it's... Because these are the two most common things is you'll get... well, you had already made up the movie in your head that you wanted, and that's the only reason you didn't like it is because it differentiated from that, which is just wildly made up. For the vast majority of people don't like it. And then this one, which is he made an adult Star Wars. You just wanted a kid's thing, and you're not mature enough to understand it, which is just completely arrogant and incorrect.
Star Wars to a new generation, you have to break.
Also, something I wanted to point out, but I kept getting interrupted. You guys mentioned Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. My buddy Harvey, he voiced a dog in that movie.
Nice.
Really?
Different.
Cool.
Disney.
And a story I wanted to point out, but I kept getting interrupted. I knew this girl in high school. Her mother worked with my mother. They were both teachers. In high school, she totally mocked me and my buddy Ryan for liking stuff like Marvel and Star Wars and all that. But then when Trump got elected for the second time, she became uber obsessed with Star Wars because, in her quotes, we live under the Empire now.
Oh dear God! Oh my God!
Yes, I remember when Palpatine lost that election.
Somehow Trump has returned again. Literally what happened.
God,
Totally true, by the way.
Insane. I still remember the absolute pandemonium that happened in Trump got
All right.
In order to bring Star Wars to a new generation, you have to break new ground. Do something different.
It broke new ground!
That is complete hyperbole right there. No.
Okay, I'm gonna
On this goes with it, it's not what you expected thing, yeah.
It's like, here's the thing. No. Okay, yes, breaking new ground and doing different things is, like, generally a good thing.
Kind
like, I'd
of
rather
necessary, yes, kind of.
Yeah,
You shouldn't reinvent the fucking wheel
necessary.
every time.
In short, difference doesn't automatically mean good. Something can be radically different, yet still be bad. Just because somebody doesn't like a different change, that doesn't mean they're closed-minded and just want the same story over and over again. They could be like, I want something different, but not that. I want something good and different.
I mean, the new Jedi Order series was pretty damn different from the rest of Star Wars we got by that point, the rest of the Phantom era. Look how well received that is.
I'm gonna make a new Star Wars where the Jedi Order becomes a sex cult. It's different, guys, therefore it's good.
His whole argument right here is
well, the Empire did try to rape somebody, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. And if you ask Tony Gilroy...
Where's the It's Just a Space Wizard movie? Yeah, where's the It's Just a Space Wizard movie intended for children on that and crowd on that Andor scene? I thought it was made for children.
Yeah, his whole argument right here is basically the appeal to novelty fallacy.
Oh, 100%. Textbook appeal to novelty fallacy.
Break new ground. They want to return to things that are familiar and therefore marketable. So you get these opposing viewpoints. Familiar sells, different is needed. The fact that we got made is a small miracle. Johnson harkened back to Kurosawa.
Oh,
the same
miracle,
director who inspired Lucas back when...
Oh, sure he did. Sure he fucking did.
Inspired by films like The Hidden Fortress or The Seven Samurai, Johnson seems to have lifted more from Kurosawa's more difficult films. When Johnson in The Last Jedi presents the story of how Luke and Kylo Ren had their falling out, it's told with the same cinematic language as Rashomon, a samurai film made by Kurosawa about different viewpoints of the same events. How everyone has a different viewpoint of what happened, and none might be true, but they're true to the person telling it.
You like Rashomon?
That's not how I remember it.
I also believe that Johnson drew heavily from Ron, which was one of the last great films that Kurosawa made. And Ron itself is based on another story.
Did Ryan make... is there any way to prove these claims?
So pretty much the only similarity to Rashomon is what he mentioned, that there's different perspectives. It's kind of like
that's fine. I'm talking about Ryan, though.
Say like Dune is just like A New Hope because they both take place on a desert planet. It's like you take these one thing and you extrapolate so much from it. It's so...
I know, but is that what Ryan's intending, or are they just trying to...
And I frankly don't care.
I don't know if he's ever tried that. No, I don't know.
Because I feel like they're just putting words into the man's mouth.
Rian Johnson could have been inspired by frickin' like Oremo, and it would have made as much sense. I don't really care.
Was it? Why do I feel like this is leading to something? You know, I'll come back to that. We'll come back to whatever Ron's based on. I'm sure it's something important. Johnson recognized that Star Wars fandom had become too anchored in nostalgia. The Force Awakens launched a culture of fan theories, where everyone needed to figure out what they saw and how it fit into the past, or some lost Legends canon. You know, because a lot of people, again...
It's not Legends, Ant!
Who is Snoke? Was Snoke Darth Plagueis, the old master of Palpatine?
Yeah, fan theories were wrong. That's why you didn't like it. Why? Nope.
Was that how this was some kind of big master plan spanning centuries? Though Plagueis had been killed off in the legend novel Darth Plagueis, we were in a new canon now. Anything could happen. And with Legends canon eliminated, this opened the door up to old characters from Legend making their way back. We saw this with Thrawn, for example.
What made them bring old Legends characters back was that their new shit was failing and they needed to get the nostalgia well. And they were like, oh shit, people like Legends. Let's grab a Thrawn. Everybody like Thrawn, guys. Look, it's Thrawn. He's blue. I mean, he's a complete dumbass, but he's also blue.
This was a conversation on Noah's about. What do you guys think about the appearance of Thrawn?
Oh, I hate his design so fucking much. Look at this. He's got the wrong fucking shoulder pads. He's
not showing his belly.
He's got a fucking beer keg belly, and they got his eyes wrong. They fucked up Thrawn's eyes, for fuck's sake. He's got pupils. The Chiss's eyes are supposed to be blank red. They don't have pupils or irises or anything.
Okay, guys.
They fucked up Thrawn's eyes. Anyway.
Okay, guys, can you just hold on a second? My mom is calling me. I'll be right back. Okay.
Do we continue without him or no?
I feel like there'll still be plenty of video left whenever he gets back.
Alright, I'll pause in the video. And we are back, folks. John, play the video.
Example. So why not Plagueis? Abrams in his two films drew heavily from Legends, especially the Legacy of the Force series and the Dark Empire series. This provided Abrams a set of ideas he could use for his films, which he used, but he ignored how these legends...
Yeah, don't worry. Tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, and starting Wednesday, because it's only a little bit of studying, and I'm going to be locked in. I'm going to study for both
Did he mute?
I figure I'll just, you know, I'll seek that. I'll figure that.
I wanted to be able to hear him.
Existed in a context of many other works. There was a whole history leading up to these works making more sense cohesively. That's the story. Abrams took plot points and shoved them in without the context or world building necessary to better incorporate them. And as a result, created something very sloppy. But don't worry, if you couldn't wait for
oh, look who it is.
And I'm sure everyone loved it. Rian Johnson, by comparison, did not do this. He told an original story. Johnson, if you've only seen Star Wars,
So
An original
he's acting
story
like
by
there's
Rian Johnson. Yeah,
he's making a false dichotomy here where he's like, it had to be Plagueis or it had to be what Johnson did. It's like, no, people would have been happy with a number of other options. I don't even think most people wanted it to be Darth Plagueis. That was a fan theory that was out there. That was like one of many. Nobody ever got mad about their fan theory not being exactly correct, though. Like, if anything, you want to be surprised because you don't want to know what the plot. I thought he was agreeing with me, but he was just yelling.
He is in agreement in spirit.
He sensed what we're saying, and he's just nodding his head excitedly at all of our points.
I'm doing the force through the internet.
And that's the thing about it here. People aren't going to be mad that if their theories or their ideas of how it's supposed to go ends up wrong. They want to be surprised, but even if we do get it right at a rarity at the time, it's that we're feeling like, oh, that's neat. I figured it would have done that.
If it makes sense, we'll be happy. Yeah.
I was the same way when Smile 2 came out. If you guys seen the first Smile. How many guys have you seen Smile?
I've seen the first, not the second.
Alright, so
I saw parts of it.
Okay, so I'll explain to you the ending without trying to spoil too much, but how the curse works is that if you see a smiling person kill themselves, and they kind of get cursed with the whole, they see the creature place. But, and of course at the end, it sounds like this big creature at the end, but it got me to think, what if multiple people saw like a possessed smiling person kill themselves? So how would that? Then the sequel kind of give an illusion that it's going to happen in the third movie when the protagonist of the sequel movie kills herself in front of a whole live audience. That leads to mystery. Does it spawn multiple creatures, or does the same creature work overtime?
Well, it's sort of like the Ring. Wait, no, it was It Follows. Whenever they give it to like a prostitute or something to try and make it spread to a bunch of earlier, basically to delay it, because that kind of goes in a chain, so it's not the exact same.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me look up the. I'm looking up the books, the UNT book story. See,
wait, I don't want to mute him because he's not going to be able to say when he's actually back.
Okay, so it's completely closed on Sunday, so we'll go get the textbook on Monday.
Anyways, move on.
Okay.
So
it's more interesting when Ed say it, I'll say.
Just in case I don't, I just downloaded it and saved it.
Biography of really good films, but they all do something interesting. They play with the established tropes of established genre in order to kind of subvert expectations in a way to create tensions and to create a new, unique vantage point through which to see the familiar. While Johnson does ultimately regularly...
You can't make this shit up!
Wait, hang on. What does he regularly do here? Let's see.
The genre
brain
within
sentences.
his framework. He often deconstructs it first to show you how each of these pieces might look in a different perspective. Case in point, let's look at Looper. Looper is...
fuck off! Come on, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
Fucking movie can't even abide by its own rules. Shut up.
Just don't think about it, they said in this movie.
Oh yeah, that's the one consistent rule. Don't think about it. It's that stupid. Don't think about it, guys. Because then
in the style of Terminator.
Because if you do think about it,
it's like he's outing himself. That's what's funny about it.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not smart enough to handle time travel, so just go with the time travel.
Look, guys, I make a movie so that half the people will like it and half the people can hate it, okay? Why are you questioning my directing style?
This guy from the future is coming back from changing the past. In this case, however, he's fighting himself from the future. And what we end up getting is a neo-noir told through a sci-fi lens. It's a lot of these guys are criminals, it's all the mafia and all that. But what ends up happening is that rather than stop the future man, our past version of the main character realizes the entire fight itself is causing this loop to start.
Here's the problem. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, because the guy coming back is still what caused it, which never would have happened if he had killed himself here. Yeah, if he kills himself here, then future him never comes back, and so the cycle just restarts. So it still doesn't make any sense. Ryan didn't solve anything.
Exactly. Like, And all because the fucking structure of it all is hinging on what does it hinder on? It's they have to send people from the future to the past so that bounty hunters from the past
Time
can kill.
travel gets outlawed, so that's why only the criminals are using it. And then he ends up making the biggest evil criminal because they kill his mom, the criminal's mom, whenever he's a kid. And so Bruce Willis is going back to the past to try and kill the main criminal early, whenever he's a kid, before he gets like psychic powers, because that's the other plot point. There's time travel and there's random people that get psychic powers. And the reason he's the biggest criminal is because he has the biggest psychic powers. So anyways, in Looper, yeah, Bruce Willis comes back to try and kill that guy. But he causes it to happen because the guy only becomes a criminal because his mom got killed. Because she gets
Which
caught
is funny because that's what he's thinking. Like, it's not actually explained. He just, that's one of his theories apparently. And then before he starts to pull the trigger or whatever.
Yeah, so at the end, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who is young Bruce Willis in the movie, he kills himself to stop, and Bruce Willis disappears because he's the future him. But it still doesn't make any sense, because if he kills himself here, then, you know, the criminal never happens, but also Bruce Willis would have never come back to try and kill him, to cause him to kill himself. And so it's this paradox. The only two time travel things that make sense are a closed loop, where it all makes perfect sense for it to play out as it did, which usually doesn't involve death, and then, or the multi-timeline thing, where it diverts as soon as you change something. But anyways,
I'm sorry. I'm so. This is another film that people shill for, and I just don't understand it.
Well, it was after The Last Jedi mainly. They were like, "Oh, Rian Johnson, he's great. Remember Looper?"
I don't know. I could have sworn when this movie came out, people were just like, "Yeah, it's fucking great. It's like different. It's not the same."
Yeah.
It's like,
well, that's probably why he got The Last Jedi job, because I think it was like 2012, 2013 or something.
There's a monster in the future, which drives the future self to go back in the time. You know, it's a whole loop. So in order to stop the loop from happening,
yeah, but the loop doesn't make sense.
Decides to close the loop before it could even.
And what does this have to do with Star Wars, Ant?
Doing so changes the future for the better, as he sees it, by destroying a cycle.
Is there time travel in Star Wars, Ant?
It follows the same ideas of
Between Worlds,
the time travel story. However, it inverts.
they're kind of setting up the
rather than
worlds to be
the guy
sort of like a time travel, multiversal gateway thingamajig, but it doesn't fit Star Wars at all.
And Filoni says it's not time travel.
Rian Johnson's Doctor Who
makes all the same plot holes as time travel. Filoni.
The past changing the future, the guy from the past changes the future and stops the loop. It's an inversion of what you typically would expect of this kind of story, where someone would either stop the future man from changing the past.
That's great, and it still doesn't make
sense. The future man changes the past, which leads to a different future. It's a very interesting way of doing time travel. Inaction is
but it needs to make sense, Ant.
On the other hand, Knives Out, a fantastic tribute to Agatha Christie cozy mysteries, except you think you're following the killer, who spends the whole movie thinking that she needs to protect herself from the eccentric detective. And we sympathize with her because the rest of the cast is absolutely heinous. Only we realize that she did nothing wrong. And the detective has never been fooled by her attempts to conceal herself from him.
And what you and Harlan did that fateful night seems at first glance to fill that hole perfectly. But we must look a little closer.
Yeah, this movie's just subversive nonsense like The Last Jedi, in case anybody hasn't seen it. Like,
oh yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's
I don't know.
You know, it's like a whodunit. This old guy dies who has a lot of money, and so there's a whole inheritance and everything. And basically, the whole thing was all the evil, privileged white people in his family were bad, and he gives all the money to his servant, who is very nice. It's Ana de Armas. Which I would give all my money to Ana de Armas if she kept me company as an old man too, but that's not the point.
No, all that stuff's great. I'm just wondering what this has to do with Star Wars.
Because it's Rian Johnson, I think, is the only connection. He's just like, oh, Rian Johnson makes subversive.
Oh, you know, he also directed or
stuff.
written Breaking Bad episodes. You gonna pull that up too, Ant? What does that have to do with Star Wars?
He probably will. I'm gonna call it now because
he didn't write any of the episodes. He only directed.
He's probably going to bring it up because Rian Johnson directed The Fly, which is a very controversial.
Oh yeah, that's subversive too.
And
yeah.
so he'll say, "Oh, it's just like when The Fly came out, guys. It's just because Rian Johnson, he makes subversive stuff."
Yeah. You expect a comedy sitcom, but instead it turned into a drama.
It's a bunch of subversion.
Did he also direct Ozymandias?
Ozymandias, yeah.
Yeah, Ozymandias.
To the tropes of the Agatha Christie story, just from a different vantage point. The Last Jedi, the deconstruction comes here.
The greatest teacher, failure is.
The heroes and authorities we trust don't always help us, but rather, through trying to help, they might create scenarios where greater evils rise up.
The Jedi are romantic.
Oh my god. He's trying to say this is the first time a hero's ever failed? Jesus Christ. Even in Star Wars, that's not true. Vader's whole redemption is because he failed for years and became evil. And Obi-Wan fails and has to try again with Luke. Yeah.
The whole prequel, is about failing. Like, what are you talking about?
He acts like he's the first person to acknowledge that heroes can make mistakes. Obviously, we all fucking knew that. You're not making some poignant point.
we did this shit back in Empire. Luke failed.
Hell, we already had a story where Luke fucked up big time. It was when I forget the exact novel. The name escapes me at the moment. But Luke decided to basically go to Yavin 4 and basically train some of his students up by that point. And the ghost of Exar Kun was there because Exar Kun died on Yavin 4, right? And he fucking and Exar Kun.
We'll just go this.
And Exar Kun possessed Kip Duran. Kip Duran killed Jeremy, mute yourself.
I just wait.
Can we mute him just for a few minutes until...
Yeah, go ahead, Alright, so basically, Exar Kun possessed Kip, then Kip killed some kids, and yeah, Luke fucked up big time in that story. Go read it for yourself. But yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. So... that's an example right there of Luke fucking up. We've had stories where the OT cast fucked up. Okay, so I don't know why this is some big ass revelation Ryan's taking here. Anyway.
Yep.
Fantasized, deified. If you strip away the myth and look at their deeds, the legacy of the Jedi is failure.
Literally, everybody criticized the Jedi and the prequels. People said that way before Ryan. That was not the first time their mistakes had been recognized.
Always right without questioning yourself can be bad. Sometimes failure is necessary for us to learn how to be better, and those who refuse to learn from failure are doomed to repeat the mistakes.
You want to know what's funny about this point? And I'm sorry to pause it again, but I wonder if he's going to address that Rey literally never fucking fails. So it's not doing anything new to have heroes fail. It is having something new to have a hero that never fucking fails and never has to learn anything because she's already perfect at the start of the story. So that was the only new thing that the sequels did, was eliminate failure. So don't act like you're introducing failure when you are eliminating it from the story.
Of the past. A singular strong hero is not enough. A singular strong hero, though, can inspire others to do better.
We are what they grow beyond.
What exactly did Luke do,
That's
though?
pretty compelling.
Nothing.
He tried to...
That's it.
That's it, I know.
Oh, yeah,
that's what I mean.
Just a
like,
projection.
It's not even...
Shit.
That was what broke me. This is one good thing to come with The Last Jedi. It broke me of all the shills, because I used to listen to Collider and all that shit. And whenever they started trying to hype up what Luke did, whatever, they're like, this was the coolest scene in ever. Oh my gosh, it's the most powerful. I'm like, it's literally a slightly better hologram. Like, and it kills him because he hasn't eaten a sandwich or something. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's only the coolest thing if he doesn't die. They kill him. Why does he die?
I don't even think
know.
it's a cool power anyway. He's literally just making a hologram. Like, once Kylo figures out that it's a hologram, he's like, the jig is up.
No, I know. I'm just saying you could argue, I suppose, but he dies, so it's not really that cool, is it?
Yeah.
He didn't eat from the sandwich of life. That's why he died so easily.
also compelling in the film, but done in a way where it might be a problem for some people who have built Star Wars up to be this grand mythology. It can hurt someone if they are not
What do you mean built up? Do you think people just imagine on a day-to-day basis? What are you talking about, Ann?
I don't fucking know, man.
They built it up by watching those
the
three
thing that
original
became
movies.
a cultural impact to everyone. That's just somehow all make believe, right?
Guys, it's not this mythology. Just because all this mythology was established in everything before this.
Yeah, basically. How many Star Wars celebrations have they done? Yeah, it's just in our minds, guys.
The problem is The Last Jedi takes the established story of Star Wars and questions its conventions on a foundational level. Luke is much like Obi-Wan and Yoda before him. He is in exile. They went into exile after a great failure, and audiences expect, like Obi-Wan and Yoda, for Luke to either be on some mission or waiting for a new student to train in order to undermine the rising evil of the dark side. Instead,
he's a loser.
There to end everything. He is there in exile because he feels he deserves to be exiled.
Okay.
He is there to die. See, as much as people like to make fun of George Lucas for structuring Star Wars like poetry where it rhymes,
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
audiences like pattern recognition. Familiar
Who mocks him
structures
for that, other than the shills?
Yeah, I've only seen him even ever mocked for that whenever people say that it was badly executed or something. They're like, oh no, it's not like that. They don't dislike the idea of making a story rhyme, so to speak. Like, nobody ever had a problem with the basic storytelling structure of that.
I mean, but you look at Luke and Anakin, they went on both directions. Like, it's not. Yeah, there's elements that are similar, but it's not the same thing.
Formulas are comforting and engaging to us. It's one reason why Joseph Campbell's hero's journey is so revolutionary. It allowed a ton of writers to align their stories more effectively with the structured elements of the monomyth. Rian Johnson is aware of this and deliberately deconstructs the hero journeys with its core characters.
And that's good for Star Wars because
you have to make the actual journey that you do send him on then interesting. So yeah, it's not good for Star Wars because he sort of just does a bastardized version of it anyway, because he does have Luke come back, so to speak, and help, and then he kills him unceremoniously for a dumb reason where he's like, oh, he used too much force, he fucked himself and died. It's like,
it just seems like a parody at that point.
What
about it is good?
Yeah, and this goes to the whole thing with The Last Jedi, where people say it subverts everything and that it changes everything, when in the end, they're still fighting on the white terrain, which of course they have to clarify is salt, not snow, because they have AT-ATs lining up on it, and they're like, no guys, it's not the same, we swear, see? Yeah. And then they still have, like, the second entry be the dark one, where a bunch of people die and they have to escape, and, like, he's doing the copy-paste shit of JJ while trying to put on the veneer of being this revolutionary thing. He just pays lip service to being revolutionary. He doesn't actually have the balls to do anything different. And yeah, the only thing that he does do different is just dead ends where he's like, hey, Snoke died. Oh, okay, well, what are you going to do with it? Well, I don't know. Hey, Luke died. Okay. Like, he does what JJ does, but in reverse, where JJ punts it by leaving everything open-ended. Ryan just closed off a bunch of shit and left it at that. And it's like, you still have another movie in your trilogy, though. What the fuck?
I will add, before the movie came out, everyone, especially when the title was revealed, everyone thought Luke was gonna die. So it's this weird thing where it's like you think he subverted expectations that like, oh, it seems like he'll make it out alive and he'll appear in the next movie, and dies.
Noise.
Yeah, he just dies. I don't know why.
I always say that The Last Jedi, or that The Last of Us 2 is The Last Jedi of video games, because it was the same sort of deal where everybody went from the first trailer was like, oh, Joel's probably going to die. And then everybody who liked it was like, oh, you just don't like it because you thought Luke/Joel would live. You wanted blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, everybody knew, or everybody kind of theorized or thought maybe that they would die. We were prepared for old characters to die, obviously. It's all in how you do it.
Sense, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
To rise to action, but rather than have him refuse the call, he is denied the call by both Holdo and Leia. Finn's entire arc is about denying the call of action until the...
Oh, is he back? Let me unmute him.
Yeah, let me unmute him too.
Let me unmute him too.
Jeremy back from Purgatory. All right.
I'm planning to have fuzzies tomorrow night, especially since especially since Bruce Hall's closing, so I need
Is he back?
Jeremy,
is he back?
Yeah,
Jeremy,
is he back?
Are you still on the phone? Jeremy, are you still on the phone?
Okay, I will do.
Jeremy! What the hell's wrong with him tonight? Jeremy, are you back?
Let's start with an easy question. Jeremy, what's your name?
Jeremy, are you Ant? Let's piss him off. No,
I'll keep going.
The final half of the film. He does not want to be drawn to fight, but he's forced to, and has to learn why he wants to accept the call at all. In Luke's whole arc, for all the good that Luke's journey did, it didn't stop evil forever, and that's disenchanting.
That force does not belong to the Jedi.
Well, you can't stop it.
To say that if the Jedi die, the light dies as
what is his point?
Can you feel that?
Luke only temporarily stopped evil in the moment. He did not have permanent impact on the flow of history, because no single great victory can ever stop evil forever. It just stops the...
I think we all knew that wasn't going to be the case when there was a fucking sequel trilogy. What did he think? There's going to be no bad guys? And they all lived happily ever after. Now let's make 3 movies about them fucking around in the peaceful galaxy. Yes, we all knew that the evil was
the whole...
there's
this... Isn't there a whole thing with the balance in in the Force? Like, that's always a thing, and they never really tackle it in a way that's believable. And when it comes to Last Jedi, I like Anakin when he goes to the dark side and evil wins, and pretty much all of the good in the galaxy is gone. Like, there is still Luke, just like, and you're just doing the reverse of that now in a way, where it's like, sorry, I lost train of thought.
Well, it kind of goes with, there's all these retards who think like, oh my gosh, balance. Vader did achieve balance because there were 2 Jedi and 2 Sith. I'm like, okay, you're not thinking of balance in the right way. Think of a well-balanced individual. It doesn't mean that they have equal emotions of every emotion. It means that they have a healthy thoughts and healthy. So there's all these people that like, they misinterpret the original and in the end the prequels too.
That great Jedi bullshit pisses me off so much.
Oh my
God. So fucking wrong.
There needs to be balance, guys. The Jedi were just as wrong as the Sith. What? Yeah, the Nazis were just as bad as the Allies. You're right. We need to have balance between the two. Shut the fuck up.
But yeah, I know, right?
Plus, there's no way in hell. Like, even if the Jedi were to somehow grow so retarded they believe that, there's no way in hell the Sith are gonna believe that. The Sith are gonna do as they do and just kill everyone until they're the top dogs.
Yeah, they'll kill the Grey Jedi after they use them to help kill the Jedi.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what they would do.
Problem right now, but without constant care, evil can re-emerge under your nose, and you can even set up the elements through which new evil can be born. But Johnson does not totally toss out the hero's myth. There is one character who follows it, and that is Rey. She adheres to it.
Yeah, noble Rey, the one
really,
who never
when
makes
fail?
mistake. Yeah.
Isn't part of it like learning through your failures? Oh, wait a minute. No, we got to skip that because she's a fucking woman.
What does she even do in the overall war? She's just hanging out with Luke while everyone else is doing the fucking legwork.
Yeah.
Well, she comes in at the end and Kylo says, "Every ship, kill that ship," and then they can't kill.
Yeah, but it's not even that. She's what is Snoke? Sorry. Yeah, he like holds her, and then Kylo betrays him. So she still didn't even get out of that, and then they just kill a bunch of weirdos. and then that's it, and then we're in the Salt Planet now.
Yeah.
Somehow she got there. I don't
Totally
know.
not off, guys. Totally not off. Let's remember.
Somehow
that.
Rey returned to the
Yes,
battlefield.
somehow Rey. She had to move rocks, even though she was never trained to move rocks. Yeah, real hero right there.
I'm pointing absence of one.
They were nobody.
You're a filthy junk.
Nobody.
Who sold you off for drinking money? You have no place in the story. You come from nothing. You're nothing.
Yeah, you're nothing.
She confronts her.
Yes, we get it. My God, you had to have 4. I haven't watched that scene in a while. Jesus, they repeat the premise like 4 times in a row to drive the point home. We get it. Her parents were nobody.
Well, I mean,
you know, 4
if they
times in a
didn't,
row.
then how would Ant realize that?
Yeah, I mean,
'cause
the
in the
film
Phantom Menace, they
doesn't-
only mention plot points once, and he completely misses the entire plot because of it. He's like, "Well, why are they with the Gungan? What's going on?"
I mean, I know they're doing it for this reason and X reason, but you know, I still don't really get it. They don't mention it like 45 times for me to really grasp what's going on. Fucking hey, man. See, this
Sorry,
is
somebody's
too
trying to make a
media
point. I apologize. I interrupted them, I think.
her adversaries and returns home with the amulet, skills, understanding, and the Jedi texts necessary to restart the Order anew after Luke's passing.
Yes. Wisdom they held, but that might...
Yeah, and they contradict that because Yoda says like, "Oh, those are shit. You shouldn't have read them anyway. They're boring." And then it's like, "Oh, but no, Rey has all the Jedi tech." Oh, well, wait, are they boring and useless? And the Jedi were all complete fucking failures with everything they did? Or are they useful?
He's making the subtle point that the next generation is fucked, which, you know, then Rise of Skywalker came in, and yeah, it was pretty much fucked.
Yeah. You were Palpatine's grandkid.
See,
you're evil anyway.
Rian Johnson trying to make another little jab at, you know. But whatever.
Nothing that the girl Rey does not already possess.
Yeah, she's already got it all. Why does she need the text?
Also, going back to some old traditional elements, Rey's arc is the monomyth, but she is surrounded by people who subvert that arc. Yet in the end, if you look at what Rey does in the film, she still completes.
She moved rocks.
Journey.
She moved some rocks.
She didn't learn anything, and then she comes in and saves the day anyway by doing.
She gets help. Yeah, she gets help from Kylo Ren. Then she moves some rocks.
She did a bunch of shit she already did. She already beat Kylo. She already piloted the Falcon, so she does that again. And then she moves rocks, which she never learned how to do. She just suddenly can do it at the end. So what sort of fucking journey is that? You're not learning anything. You just had to say, "Oh, Luke, shit."
Shortcut is what it is.
He doesn't change. Great.
It's the hero's shortcut.
Much as that structure is criticized, it does not collapse. Even though there are ways to criticize the structure and subvert it, the core still stands.
It's time to let old things die. The Sith, the Jedi.
What does that mean?
The rebels. Let it all die.
Now, people hear the movie where they say, "Let the past die" and all that, but that's not the message of the film. Luke sees the past.
There seems to be the message
to lead to failure.
And that whole scene in the throne ends up being nothing because he's like, "Let it all die." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, she's so, yeah, this is a whole new dynamic." But then she just rejects that and they go right back to the same old dynamic. And yet they want to say it's subversive. It's like, again, it's a cock tease of doing something different. It's like Rey and Kylo ruling together as Dark Empress and Emperor. Like, I'm not going to say that would have been good because the entire rest of the movie's fucked, but at least it would have been bold enough that they would have had to come up with something new. Instead, they just return right to the status quo because they're not going to actually do that. They're just going to cock tease it enough, yeah, to where people can say, "Oh, look how brave and stunning they were. Look how different they were." But then they weren't actually. They just pretended to be for a few minutes.
That's what I mean. Every red herring that this film throws, it goes back on it because this film lacks balls.
Mm-hmm.
At the height of their powers, they allowed Darth Sidious to rise, create the Empire, and wipe them out. It was a Jedi Master who was responsible for the training and creation of Darth Vader.
With the mythology established...
No, actually, of Anakin. Darth Vader was made because of Sidious. But anyways...
The Jedi did allow Palpatine to rise to power. They did ignore the Sith rising.
My only conclusion can be
they failed to stop him. They didn't... They didn't allow it. They didn't go, oh, look, it's Palpatine. We're going to allow this, like a judge on Futurama. Like, they tried to stop it, and they failed, sure. Well, I like that guy sitting there.
I mean, didn't the whole...
And then we got Long Neck there. He's like, hey, I'll order pizzas.
It's a space Yeti.
No, that's Oppo Rancisis. Anyway.
No, but I was gonna say real quick, didn't they vote for Palpatine? What was it?
The Senate.
The Senate, thank you.
Which he later became.
Which is it's not the Jedi though, right? Like it's
right.
Totally different.
No, the only thing the Jedi could say is that they failed to detect him, but the dark side was clouding everything, and he was really good to, make his actions generally masked in the Force.
Sith Lord. Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
And I would know. I was there 200 years ago when this weird fucker with a red lightsaber showed up, and he started killing a bunch of Jedi. And he had great arms, though, and he had a great cock, I hear, from one of our students. In fact, I have a lot of stories. And then Mace is just like, shut the fuck up.
I've had it like a motherfucking Jedi from this motherfucking temple.
Mace is like, this sounds like a story that would get canceled after one season, motherfucker.
So
vengeance has called upon me.
Luke recognizes we need to learn from. On the other hand, Kylo Ren feels shackled to his past, either by the legacy of his parents or the legacy of his grandfather, Darth Vader. And so he feels shackled to it and decides to burn everything that reminds him to that down. He decides to destroy the patterns and hierarchies of old to rise beyond them. Further, he also rejects the expectations we have for Kylo Ren. We expect him to be redeemed. Instead, he rejects redemption and becomes...
When did any... Hold on.
Well, they don't kill him off, so they leave him to be redeemed.
Well, I didn't think that. Who thought he was going to be redeemed? He literally killed his own father.
The only thing I'll say is after they left him alive in this movie, a lot of people thought he would be redeemed in the third one. And then a lot of other people were saying like, oh no, they're not going to redeem him in the third one because that would go against everything Ryan's. And then they ended up redeeming him.
No, I know the third one, but I'm talking about, he's talking about Last Jedi though. I thought, like, he killed his own father. If that doesn't cement him as like a bastard, I don't know what will, like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it's just the people who liked The Last Jedi thought that like he was just going to be the villain and just get defeated for a third time at the end or something. I don't know. I don't know what they actually wanted for Kylo in the third film because they didn't like The Rise of Skywalker, which I didn't either, but like I don't know what they would have wanted because they thought that this left him in some great place. So I'm not sure where they wanted the story to go.
Yeah.
Over the First Order and makes decisions that would, had he not been caught up in the past, led to the end of the Resistance. Come the end of the film, Luke realizes that he was wrong, and that the failures of his past are not a reason to destroy a structure, but rather to build something better moving forward.
Build back better.
Killed the Last Jedi.
Wait, what are you talking about? What was he wrong about? What was Luke wrong about?
I'm not even sure because he's agreeing with everything Luke's saying. So then he says, "Oh, but Luke is also wrong." I guess because before he tried to kill Kylo, he was trying to restart the Jedi Order. So I guess that was wrong in his mind. Like he should have just never even tried. He should have become Hermit Luke right away. Is I guess what he's saying.
I don't know.
Luke was the right way.
Yeah, it doesn't. I have no idea what he's saying right now. Like he says, he was wrong, but then he was like, oh, he restructured. But like, he's just a hermit. What are you talking about? What is he restructuring exactly?
And to be fair, this is kind of how the film is, where it's like Luke was wrong, but also Luke is right about these other things. After he's supposed to be dejected, but also he's wrong because the ancient Jedi texts weren't good. But also Rey took them because they are good. But it's like it can't fucking decide what is right or wrong. It can't fucking decide whether the past is good or bad. It can't fucking decide whether we should subvert.
By a Libra, that's what. It's indecisive.
I don't know that astrology shit, but I know it's shit. The Libras suck because that's what I got from that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Every word.
You're losing your Libra audience, Backseaters.
Wrong.
Every single master.
Yeah, all 5 of them.
That their students are what grows beyond them. Luke Skywalker ultimately sees himself as a remnant of the past, something to inspire change moving forward through
Change you
sacrifice.
can believe in.
Meanwhile,
How does he inspire change?
Because he inspired Broom Boy by standing up to the AT-ATs.
I still don't get that.
And then somebody told Broom Boy, well, he was actually just a hologram. He's like, oh, fuck this. He wasn't even brave. He was just a hologram. Fuck that.
He spends the whole movie of going, no, we're losers or some shit. And then she leaves. And then Yoda has a weird talk with Yoda and then decides to project
Yoda told him
himself.
that the text sucked. So then he's like, oh, well, then I need to make myself a hologram and distract the First Order because the text sucked.
I'll tell my sister I love her, even though I won't actually show up.
Oh, wait, failure is a teacher? Oh, shit. Okay, I'm going to go save the galaxy. It's like, well, what the...
By doing
Obviously,
nothing. Okay, great.
You already knew failure was a teacher. You got your hand cut off because you failed.
No, he wanted that. See, it recontextualizes Star Wars now. So
He's like,
wanted
no,
to
my
fail.
wanking hand. But now you get a robot one. Oh, sweet.
Yeah, sweet.
And is so caught up with the past that in order to fight shadows, essentially, he lets his present slip away from him. He's so caught up trying to stop Luke Skywalker, he ends up shadow boxing an illusion Luke creates for him, while the heroes escape.
Oh, it's symbolic.
It's not. Yeah, he's trying to say it's symbolic by it.
He has a personal vendetta against Luke, and and Kylo is also probably completely fucking perplexed because he's like, how the fuck did you let them escape? Yeah, I was fighting Luke. We had an entire fucking fleet above this planet. Who let the Millennium Falcon get away? He had some heads rolling after that day.
That has more to do with meta. I'm talking about, like, he's not talking about what happens in the actual story. That's what's weird about it. Like,
yeah, the only thing I can think that he's saying is that, like, oh, Kylo is too obsessed with the past because he wants to destroy the Millennium Falcon, so he says for all the ships to go after it. Oh, Kylo's so obsessed with the past, he wants to fight Luke instead of going after these guys. That literally does not compute in the story that is told, though, because he has an entire force. He can say, I'll fight Luke. You guys go obliterate their fucking tunnel because it's completely open now because Rose Tico made it so that our super weapon can blow open the door. So, if the rest of our forces aren't fighting Luke, then I guess we can just go slaughter the rebels.
Yeah,
he has the Deus. He talks about and then storytelling. How about and then a random crystal fox shows up and gets us the back entrance to the cave at the last minute, right when the plot demands it. That's more and then than anything that happens in the fucking Phantom Menace. And and then the rocks move because Rey needs to do that now. And then the furry critters, or whatever Poe Dameron calls them, show them the back entrance to the cave that randomly appears because they needed it. Deus Ex Machina an entire new entrance.
Hey.
An apt metaphor for his arc. So caught
the metaphor,
over the past, he refuses to make good change in the future, and he lets opportunity slip him by. But, audiences are just upset that Luke's a sad old man and not a hero, so arc back, forget all the good it does.
This film.
What is his arc? Explain to me what his fucking arc is.
Obi-Wan was a sad old man in a way, and then they made him take an actual arc to where he was trained. He was all obsessed with his failure with Anakin, and then he was given a journey, given an arc to where he's heroically sacrificed himself to help a new. Like, I feel like he's trying to say that didn't happen in the original trilogy or something. Like, it's so weird. I don't know.
Well, it's a weird. No, I think it's funny because that is kind of Luke's arc. It's more of like, what if Obi-Wan just didn't give a shit and he was a fucking loser apparently.
What if Obi-Wan accidentally himself into sacrificing himself for Luke in the end? Because instead of it actually, that's pretty much the only difference, is that one was planned while the other was just like, oh, I'm a fucking loser. Oh, wait, I'll do this one thing at the last minute.
Like, Jeremy, are you legit back?
Yeah. Oh, is he back? Let me see.
Back?
He texted in the message chat. Jeremy, you back? You still on the phone? Jeremy, are you back? Are you still on the phone?
He answered. He said he's back.
Alright, okay, alright. You don't want to... Alright, let's just say you missed a shit ton we don't need to go over. You missed over confusing bullshit.
Sorry, we kept hearing you on the phone, so next time, if that ever happens again in the future, obviously, and this goes for anyone.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. It's just that I kind of like. It was just out of the blue, and so I kind of, yeah. It's,
no.
I'm done, so there shouldn't be any more interruptions.
No, I understand. I'm just saying for anybody in the future, including myself, if I forget to do it, yell at me. But just mute your mic if you're,
Well, we'll do. If I get a phone call again, I'll mute him.
Basically destroys everything that made Luke the iconic hero we all knew and loved.
Oh yeah, it's Drinker.
Oh, the critical drinker.
The core of his being crushed and demolished. The fire of his accomplishments and struggles and triumphs brutally extinguished.
Kind of interesting looking at these
The Last
old
Jedi
videos and how different they sound compared to now.
His audio is so different. I was gonna say.
But yeah, it's just kind of interesting. Yeah, it's just always kind of interesting looking back at a YouTuber's older videos to see how different they sounded and presented themselves to now. It's interesting.
Dude, my first video is fucking like that. I'm in my kitchen. I'm in the corner. I'm not on top of the video.
Yeah, same. For a while, I didn't even really show my face in my videos for a while. For a while, I basically just recorded my videos with a piece of paper, and I didn't show my face until around I didn't officially show my face until my 7th review. And I also kind of had a phase where I dressed up as as something from the movie and that I was reviewing and that kind of. I just thought it was fun, and it was kind of fun, but I eventually dropped it because it was just kind of.
I'll still do that for random ones. I pretended to be a blind guy for the Daredevil watch-alongs. I only do insensitive ones though.
Assassinates Luke Skywalker, both literally and metaphorically.
I want to see him pull that fish up.
Kill him. It destroys the very essence of who he is.
Not every component of the film works, of course. Finn and Rose feel very superfluous to the plot. And with their failures and DJ's betrayal, it makes the Resistance feel more vulnerable.
Is that Benicio del Toro? My God, I forgot he was in this film.
Yeah. Remember he had his stutter where he was like, the Resistance. Yeah. Which this was right after Sicario, and I was so hyped to see Benicio del Toro, and I was like, oh, fuck, he does nothing though.
I love his performance in Sicario. He's such a forgettable character.
They actually get good talent and just proceed to waste them. They had Kerry Russell in Rise of Skywalker and did fuck all of their character.
Yes, Mission Impossible 3, Kerry Russell, she does more in 5 minutes of screen time.
Especially when Holdo resolves the conflict of the First Order pursuing them very effectively by just
in a way that breaks the fucking canon
into the other ship at hyperdrive.
Yeah, breaks all logical fallacies of hyperdrive.
Just looking to start doing something that has literally never been done before, simply because the plot demanded it.
And they'll never do it again. They'll
look
never
at how
do
little
this.
sense this makes. Literally, her hits the main capital ship. How does it branch out and hit every single ship in perfect try? I've never actually looked at this scene closely before. I knew it hit the other ships, but it was why does it do this random scattershot hit? There's not even any streaks in between these. It's just
can I answer your question?
Explode. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. That's the answer I have.
We needed all the ships to disappear, so we made them all disappear. Oh, Ryan.
Coolest visuals.
You wrote yourself into a corner.
I don't care how this works with the lore. It's just cool.
Oh my God, you did not just say that.
You know what? Luke shows up and lightnings all the AT-ATs. I don't care how it looks. It would be cool, guys. It would be cool.
Are you something, Ant? Come on.
Hey, I thought this was made for adults. What the fuck?
Again, it's like, geez Louise, this man just does not understand how, like, film... Again, it's like, it's just basically his entire logic is old movie bad, new movie good, and it's like he will say whatever random BS to make that narrative true, even if it actively makes sense. And his audience won't care. They'll just eat it up because they desperately need to validate that the modern movie is good because it's Disney Star Wars. Disney good, Star Wars good. It must be good. The idea that a modern movie could be bad is scary to me because if modern movies are bad, then that means I might have to actually criticize something and not love every single movie that comes out. Oh my God, man! It's like, God. People.
The fact that Finn, who is set up as the co-lead in the film prior, is reduced to a tertiary character who feels pulled along by the actions of other characters, despite his arc being about him taking the initiative to join the Resistance. In the first film, he makes very few choices that further the plot in the second film. He is railroaded. He is told, go to the casino, find the guy. They get sent to jail by someone else. Then they find another guy, and then they leave. And they're put in jail. They're following missions and objectives, but...
What is it, when he's explaining this, what does that sound like? Does that sound familiar to anybody?
The music, or what do you mean? Oh, what he's saying, I see.
Yeah, when earlier he was saying, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens.
And then he's put in jail, and then he finds another guy, random. That's so true. It's so random that they find the Benicio del Toro character. Like, it's a complete plot convenience. Way more than Jar Jar.
You gotta find this person. I don't have a picture of the guy, but you gotta find him. Oh, by the way, I'm in a negotiations dispute or whatever the fuck that alien
and then
was on.
The space horses are introduced just randomly, so that's another and then just to have the cheap payoff of they're free, or no, it was worth it. No, now it was worth it. Now that I took the saddle off of it. Shut the fuck up, Rose.
Capitalism. Didn't they have a line about capitalism or some shit?
Oh yeah, because the rebels are just as bad as the Empire because they both buy ships from people.
Oh my God, that was the dumbest reveal I've ever seen. It was so fucking funny.
They don't buy their ships. Where the fuck are they supposed to get them then? Make them
moral ambiguity, bro. Whoa.
Of course they sold to them.
Rarely chooses the direction they go in. It's usually another character who acts, and the choice is taken away from Finn. He is not an active character, he is a reactive character, which, considering how, again, he helped drive the plot in the first film, this contrast of more passivity versus active control of the narrative is more apparent. But not everything with Finn is bad.
I mean, he was pretty reactive in the last film, but okay.
Oh yeah, of course. The literal first scene in the first film was him reacting to the atrocities that he and the stormtrooper brethren were committing.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Which I've always questioned if this guy was bred to be a stormtrooper, because he doesn't act like it.
Yeah, they're apparently like taken from birth, and they're bred to be these soldiers. And for some reason, they didn't ever establish why he's different. Like, this is the first war in any of these guys' lifetimes, and yet for some reason he reacts differently, even though he was childhood conditioned, just like the rest of those soldiers in that village were. And so they never established, like, oh, Finn reacted like this because of... Doesn't say. It's just like he randomly decides, and then one.
It's a mystery box.
Yeah. It's a mystery box that's been locked and sealed and thrown in the
ocean. To what political indifference during a war looks like.
Good guys, bad guys, made up words. It's all a machine, partner. Live.
Oh my God!
Don't join.
DJ, I can't believe he was in this movie.
Fucking pothead stance, like, oh, we're all evil, bro. Whoa, there's no difference.
Cabrón, let me tell you something, man.
Okay, but one of them is an oppressive dictatorship that wants to force lightning everybody who doesn't like them, and the other one established a new republic. So I'm pretty sure there's good guys and bad guys, bro.
He's an opportunist. He's a gambler. He helps Finn and Rose out for a bit, but then when a better offer comes, he turns them in and joins the First Order for a little cash. His ethos.
Yeah, so he's a grifter.
Yeah, we've never seen that before in Star Wars.
The First Order and the Resistance.
Han Solo.
Lando Calrissian.
The dealer still makes money at the end of the day. War is a business. In a business, you make the best deal for yourself and don't care about anything else. It's not personal, it's strictly business. Except, it is personal when people's lives are on the line. DJ treats lives like profit, and indeed, when push comes to shove, he sells out the entire resistance for a little bit of cash and doesn't even hesitate to walk away with it. He is never held accountable in the films for his actions. He walks out of the film and it's fine. And Finn is left feeling the sense of betrayal. He has felt knowing what it feels like when someone runs out on a cause that you're beginning to care about. He knows now how
he never said that he was never part of the cause.
Why should we care? Like, they're just describing elements of the film and doing it in this like wistful tone, and I'm like, why? Why?
Ryan, and he
like,
wants to act like this.
He's saying this like this is supposed to be like a meaningful or interesting thing, but it really isn't. It's basically just like, oh my god, he sold out the Finn and the Resistance and stuff, and I'm like, okay, why should we care? How is this like revolutionary or interesting? Like,
whole arm dealers.
People don't pay attention to these movies. They just like the pretty colors.
Well, I mean, because they're all ordered to stay on the ship, and then Finn, I don't know about Rose, just showed up for some reason, but Finn decided to detract, right? So that he could go to the casino planet or whatever the fuck.
Finn was initially just trying to escape, I think, to find I keep wanting to say Daisy, Rey. How could I forget? He yells her name 500 times. So he's initially going to defect to find Rey, because that's all he cares about, because that was his personal connection. And then Rose finds him as he's defecting, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're such a big hero of the rebellion. Why are you defecting?" And she like stuns him and shit. And then
so is that the
decide to go there?
Is that why he's saying that? Because he defected from Rose in the rebellion?
I think like the moral thing is that like, oh, he needs a reason to care, but then Benicio tells him not to care. So it's just this convoluted, like not really committing to either, because this isn't committed to before or after. Like they never have like the arms dealers get screwed over by the Empire because, oh, they thought they were all the same, but it turns out there was good and evil, or like that would have been the way to actually make that plot point matter. Instead, they're just like have one random scene of, hey, they sell arms to both sides. Anyways, back to good and evil now. It's just like they don't commit to anything. They don't preface or follow up on any of these points. They just randomly bring them up to try and make themselves poignant.
Yep.
Others might have felt had he abandoned the Resistance. And that's important. That's an element of narrative. It's really interesting. And then there's Rose, who I think deserves.
Can't drive, and she's Asian.
Rose
terrible stereotypes.
Dies in the
yeah, see, that's
which
to your point earlier. Yeah. Like he learns that defecting is bad, right? So, but he's gonna sacrifice himself for the rebellion, and here comes Rose ruining everything and possibly getting the rest of the rebellion killed.
That's my sacrifice.
And instead of shooting his thrusters or some shit, she's like, I'm gonna crash into you at 90 degrees.
He was gonna sacrifice himself for the rebellion. He was actually gonna do something for the rebellion for once in his life, and Rose just fucks it up. This film really has no idea what the fuck it's about. It's amazing.
And again, it's like people just defend it because it's Disney Star Wars, and the idea of Disney Star Wars being bad is like a foreign concept. It's like,
well, this is
yeah, they'll criticize token elements. Like, you see, I'm not a shill. I criticize these minor token elements, and that somehow diverts the fact that I am worshiping these films and acting like they're amazing, and literally white knighting them from any criticism, and calling any critic that even remotely disagrees with me, and it's like that's not how that works. You can't just do one minor thing and think that's enough. That's like saying, oh, That's like saying, oh, I drank like a tiny drop of water. Okay, I'm done. I'm quenched. Oh, no, ignore the fact that I'm really dying.
The thing is, they open themselves up to
water, so I'm fine. I'm fine. I drank enough water.
Well, I was just saying they open themselves up to all these criticisms about their writing and all this stuff about thematic elements and stuff because he proposed that this was the adult Star Wars film. So, if it's the adult one, then we'll give it adult analysis, and it falls the fuck apart whenever you do that because it's contradictory at every turn, it's shallow as a fucking puddle at every turn, and you lose then because you're trying to make yourselves out to be the adult, non-kiddie one. Well, guess what? You completely fail at that because all your themes are convoluted, contradictory, and you don't commit to anything.
It is like, yeah.
But someone like Ant who was like the most normie view of things imaginable. Like it's amazing. It's like amazing because that's like he doesn't have any standards. Like a film like Sorry to Bother You that's actually deep and interesting would probably blow his mind.
Yeah.
It's like because it's like again, it's like it has the appearance of being deep without actually being deep, but the appearance is all that people like Ant. The appearance is all that people like Ant like need, and they think that people, and so when someone like Mahler criticizes it, it's like, well, why are you looking so hard into it? It appears deep, so there's no reason to go in. You're just looking to hate on it. They can't imagine actually engaging with negative criticism because they dismiss all negativity as like just bad off the bat because film fans are supposed to love movies. Why would you be mean to movies if you love movies when really film discussion is like a yin and yang, some positive, some negative. Like that's just how it is. If you don't like that, if you don't like that, that's fine. Just ignore it. Just like the film, but don't make that everybody else's problem and make awful videos like this one getting mad at criticism and calling everybody an istapho and making the film discourse worse for people who actually want to engage with it.
Yep. Cost of war. We then see her throughout the film observing the way fascism impacts the average person and how greed and all of that motivates people to do terrible, terrible things. And she presents the idea that fighting is about protecting those that we care about above all else. Again, on paper, a very interesting idea. Nope, but the problem is the execution. Rose's dialogue consists almost entirely of speeches, of lectures, and these themes are not organically woven into the narrative through action and visuals, but rather the story stops to present the idea to us. This is made all the more frustrating when you realize the majority of scenes where Rose is talking happen in the casino sequence, a segment of the film that feels completely disconnected from the core plot and is distracting whenever it's back. You always feel a little disconnected from the core conflict, and it deflates tension while here. It's away from the ship that's being pursued by the First Order, it's away from Rey training under Luke. It just feels so far removed, it almost feels like we took Finn and Rose and just dumped them on some random Harry Potter-esque world.
Pretty much.
And Star Wars is not subtle about its ideas, not at all. But this feels very much like the character existing as a mouthpiece, more than as a person. She communicates more to the audience with her intro, where she's quietly crying over her lost sister, more than in any of the monologue she gives later on, because that's organically woven in. We get more sense of how war impacts people through that than we ever do with any of her dialogue. And none of that has to do with John Boyega, Benicio del Toro, or Kelly Marie Tran, all of whom elevate the underdeveloped writing to as high a level as possible.
They're serviceable.
It's like their problem weren't the actors themselves, at least until they said nonsense things. Our problem is with the stories and the things that they say. The problem is people like Ant don't want to side with people like Drinker or Mahler because they disagree with them on certain things, so they'd rather paint their criticisms as that in order to supposedly distance themselves. Again, it's not about the only people making it about the actors and about race are Ant and people like him. We're just criticizing the movie.
Yep. Yeah, and I haven't seen anybody say "fuck Kelly Marie Tramp," because, any prominent content creator.
I'm saying that now, but that's...
Well, any prominent content creator that's like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, fuck her for what she said outside of this, but I'm saying,
nobody said that. Yeah,
following the film, it's not like anybody was like, oh man, Kelly Marie Tramp really fumbled this amazing writing.
It's criticizing the acting. I'm sorry, that's part of the job. It's like.
Yeah, she didn't do.
They were just like the character.
Yeah,
the character was cringe, and then they started going, "Oh, you're attacking her as a person," and everyone was like, "Well, now we are because you're fucking labeling
they
us
needed
as
something to distract from the quality of the film." So they
like,
immediately were like, "Oh, somebody was racist somewhere." So if you insult her, it's because you're racist.
It's like they take the bad actors and they act like they're the entire people, and it's like no.
They basically gaslight them,
Yeah. Well, you gotta do that to distract.
Awakens, where he runs away, rejoins the resistance, and becomes a hero. Self-sacrifice to protect someone he loves. I know Star Wars is like poetry and rhymes, but...
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
This is...
Why do you keep harping on this point? I don't understand.
You can't do the same thing so many times before it becomes redundant. Now, this is opposed to Poe, who goes from a very static character in the first film to a more developed one with an arc. A lot of audiences sympathize with Poe early on. He's a fighter pilot. He fights for the resistance against the First Order. He's a hero, a hotshot, someone who is fiery-tempered but always gets the job done correctly. And in the first film, he is just a really good, cool guy who really loves his friend Finn. Yeah, friendship.
Maybe he's gay.
That's what they're calling it nowadays.
Yeah, and so far as
oh god, is he trying to do the whole two male guys like each other?
I knew
playing in his head.
I knew he was going there. I knew he was fucking going there. Stupid asshole.
Why do people always go there? Jeez.
Sort of a terrible stereotype.
Doesn't entirely mean it's romantic.
It's sort of a fucking stereotype where it's like telling all gay guys like, hey, if your friend high fives you and hugs you or whatever, that means he wants to fuck you.
Well, that's what all the homophobes would say. They'd be like, "Oh, don't stare at him. He might think you're gay." And look at now they're parodying what he said. Yeah, it's such a fucking turn of events, isn't it?
Oh my god.
Been more of a subtextual kind of maybe romantic.
They're gay now? They're gay now.
Finn a bit.
And they get upset with Holdo in this film because Holdo tells Poe, hey, you can't do what you're doing. You gotta stop. You're a loose cannon. You gotta chill out. But what Holdo does...
Yeah, she never explains why. She gaslights him.
Okay, you're a loose cannon. You give me your gun and your badge and your gun badge and blah, blah, blah.
Give me a blaster and your pilot license.
Angry cop. Like a friggin' angry police chief from an 80s cop movie.
Your days as a pilot are over. You're gonna walk a beat now.
He's not a loose cannon. He literally asked several times, like, just tell me what if we have. Not even tell me what your plan is. Tell me we have a plan. And she refuses to even do that.
And then no. The best part is when
trust the weapon.
The best part is when she finally tells the plan, and he's like, "Oh, that's brilliant." It's like what?
Yeah,
come on, how man. He was. Wait, no, but she told him now.
Again, it's me.
Fucking A, man.
Benefit the resistance. They often have a high cost of life. He constantly attacks when he needs to consider tactical escapes and solutions in order to keep people alive. He's a man with good intentions who makes for a good fighter, but he is not a great soldier, and he's certainly not at this point a great leader. Holdo, why would she trust this guy with anything? You know? He's
not a great soldier? How?
Holdo's plan gets everybody killed, by the way. I feel like we should emphasize this. Like, her plan literally relies on a complete miracle that she would have never known about a random-ass entrance appearing in the back of the cave and random-ass Rey lifting random-ass rocks. Like, there's no way she could have known literally any of this, and her entire plan was just, like, to hold up on Crate forever? Like, what the fuck?
No, the plan is only smart because this movie's dumb. We're gonna get in these little escape pods. They have windows. They can see through the fucking window. Like,
And it's like serious. It's like it's like it's like what reason is there not to trust Poe? Like what reason is there not to trust Poe? Oh my god, he's a little bit reckless. Oh my god, it's like so what?
Like,
like,
the guy who was in battle and has all this experience versus what was her? She was a general or whatever the fuck she was.
Oh my god,
Admiral. Yeah.
With what experience?
Let's be honest, he's a random ass Leia stand-in so that she can make the sacrifice, and they were trying to keep Leia alive for the next movie. Like, it should have been Leia doing the maneuver.
That's scary for sure.
Yeah, that was bad. I mean, they didn't foresee that, but man.
No, but I mean,
yeah,
could have known the editing phase, to be
like,
honest. But
it is real. Again, it's like.
Moving on.
If she trusted him with a plan, it's very likely that he'll just run off and do it without waiting for the right time or doing something that might hurt someone. As far as she's concerned, Poe would cause disruption to a plan designed to save lives. And he does. Holdo's plan would have worked if Poe didn't send Finn and Rose off to get like a code breaker or whatever. We see at the end of the film that Poe is finally learning to be responsible after seeing what Holdo planned and how he impeded Holdo's plan. He learns from failure.
The greatest teacher failing.
Repeating what all the Holdo simps said.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, basically, I literally. There was this dude named Knowledge and Defense who, honestly, he is probably Mahler's biggest hater, like, easily, from what I've seen of him. He made an awful video trying to rebut, one of Mahler's Last Jedi videos, and in it, he basically makes the exact same arguments. Oh, Holdo's plan was perfect. Poe was just a reckless, crazy person. It is genuinely, I think I actually suggested that for I think Backseat was a while back. Yeah, it is these people literally operate under just like it works because it says it works. It
does. Yeah, pretty much.
It's like you need more than that.
Yeah.
This is actually a really good arc that sets him up for a commander role, or something in the next film, like, Misato Katsuragi from Evangelion, a character who is unhinged, but has loyalty to those under her command, who does the right thing. Poe could have been a real good commander. Oh wait, they don't do that. They bring him back to the hotshot pilot in the next film because it's easier to shoot in film, because it has more direct action, and it's less complicated.
Star Wars.
Right, of course. The big issue with Finn, Poe...
That's literally his skill set. I don't know what you want. Like, you want to randomly become like a fucking negotiator?
And Rose, arcs barely matter in the Rise of Skywalker.
Do not understand what
Finn.
I don't know what he's trying to...
The film doesn't know what it wants, and he's trying to defend it.
And what's your solution to this? And it's like he says problems with the film, but he doesn't say what should have been different about it. Like, he just says that they're problems, insists that they're problems, and then just drops it and moves on to the next topic, rather than elaborating on why it's a problem and what he thinks that Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams should have done.
Yeah.
Because again, he doesn't care about these criticisms. He's just making these criticisms to be like, oh, I'm not a shill. I'm just criticizing these films the right way, the way that I'm just making tiny little punches, unlike those mean critics who have the gall to criticize whole sections and chunks of films like some kind of bad anti-fan.
Gets out the best, I think, of the three, because he finds community with other stormtroopers who left the First Order, and he's able to process his experience.
Oh, so he's not unique anymore.
There are hints that he might be a Jedi or be Force sensitive, and that's all well and good, but it picks up directly after where The Force Awakens left off, because he wasn't given much of an arc in The Rise of Skywalker. That wasn't already redundant to what came before. Now, Poe is presented more as a rogue. Again, the hotshot pilot. He's not given a chance to be a leader too much outside of the third act. He's more just himself, like in the previous two films. And Rose is barely there. They completely drop the character because of the massive backlash against her, because she committed the cardinal sin of existing. The only arcs that really...
Oh, shut up! No! You did not hate her because she was just existing. Oh
just
my
real quick,
god!
because we can extrapolate on this.
Please stop that. Oh, she just exists. No, people criticized her because she was like a bad. Maybe get out of your echo chamber and look at why people criticize Rose. Oh, but then, oh my god, I might agree with a giant. No, I can't agree with a giant. Like, no, I don't care. Okay, maybe no. People didn't hate her because she just existed.
Jeremy, I'll let you continue. I have to take a piss, so I'm just letting everybody. No, I'm just letting everybody know. I'm gonna let you continue because I actually need a quick break to go to the bathroom real quick.
Okay. Let it go, John.
1 minute.
People like this are just so unfair. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I was just telling John that he can go on his leak break.
Okay. What I was saying was like people like this again. My problem is these people are just so uncurious. Rather than actually looking at why people hated Rose Tico, it's just like, oh, they just hated her just because they rather than analyzing what their arguments and maybe maybe finding some like common ground, they'd rather just just treat them as the other, the bad thing, because they might have like 1 to 2 things that like they disagree with, and it's like ridiculous. Like, again, I like Critical Drinker's content, but I probably disagree with him on so many things. I liked the Barbie movie. Okay, when I got done seeing the Barbie movie, I saw Drinker's review because I was curious about his thoughts and I wanted to see other people's thoughts. I watched the video. I disagreed with most of it. I disagreed with a lot of stuff Drinker said. I agreed with some, and you know what I did? I didn't have a temper tantrum. I didn't have a meltdown. You know what I did? I said, okay, I disagree, but it's fine for him to have that opinion. And I moved on with my life. But these people will literally let people like Drinker and Mahler and Erotic live in their head rent-free more than the people that are actual fans of their content because they can't stand the idea that someone different from them exists. It's pathetic.
It's not pathetic, it's oathetic is what it is.
Oh yeah, it's oathetic.
We have a new word for it now.
No, really?
It is oathetic. I'm back, by the way.
Yeah, Eric, oathetic is so pathetic, it's a level beyond pathetic. Slap off that P, replace with a motherfucking O, it is oathetic. Moving on.
Carry through effectively to the rise of Skywalker.
Sorry I haven't been talking too much. I mean, this guy's points are just so mundane, I'm kind of zoning out.
He's like the Last Jedi, the embodiment of Last Jedi. He doesn't know what he wants. Every fucking thing that comes out of his mouth is just confusing. It doesn't track with what the last thing he just said. That's why we keep pausing this fucking video. It's just holy shit.
Yeah. It's easy. It's like there's just so much ridiculousness that comes out of Ant's mouth that you have to comment on, everything.
Who basically become the only characters who matter in the rise of Skywalker. What was once an ensemble piece becomes just Kylo Ren's extended redemption and Rey's reconciliation with her past. And speaking of which, Rey's past was a mystery set up in The Force Awakens. Her parents seemingly abandoned her on Jakku. And fans speculated, maybe Rey's parents were someone of note. Maybe she's a child of someone we know already. The prequels tied a lot of characters in with the lore to someone else from the past. So they would know someone else. It became a very small galaxy where a couple family lines and a couple people were really instrumental in guiding the direction of this whole galaxy. It felt very small, but also interwoven a little too much. People kept showing up.
Yes, the prequels, full of Newt Gunray, Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, Padme Amidala. I feel like there's a lot of characters that aren't tied in and fucking... I mean, I guess she technically is a bloodline because she's the mother, but we hadn't met her or her bloodline. Bail Organa, yeah.
Even though it's a massive galaxy full of potential. So it felt like the Skywalkers were the only ones who inspired change, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Yoda, or Palpatine. And if you weren't tied in with those events, then, well, what are you going to do? Leia's whole ancestry was tied up with Naboo, and with Anakin and with Obi-Wan for years. It's a whole thing. Rey desperately wants to figure out how she fits into this sense of legacy, into this network of people who had influence throughout the decades. So Rian Johnson found the most devastating potential answer for Rey. She doesn't fit in.
You have no place in the story. You come from nothing. You're nothing.
She's no one's child. She's not destined for greatness. Her family meant nothing in the scheme of things.
Okay, but how does that explain the connection to the Force?
Despite that, more than any of these other destined heroes, she chooses to be someone great. More than Luke, more than Kylo Ren, more than
Luke.
Rey takes the initiative and becomes great despite there being no destiny. She is diametrically opposed to
It was never established that like the Force was this super hereditary thing where the only reason that we assume that she had anything to do family-wise, because there's a bunch of Force-sensitive people in the prequels, was because of like the whole Obi-Wan thing, and then I forget, there was like audio and shit during her flashbacks that was like basically tying her to it. They cock-teased it. JJ planted all these seeds to try and make her seem like she was, and the fact that her past was so unknown. Like if they'd have said like she's some random Jedi's like granddaughter or whatever, then that would have made sense. Or
Yeah, I just needed to explain. Like them saying it's nothing doesn't explain her connection to the Force.
To be fair, Eric. To be fair on that part, like Force sensitivity at birth is rather random. You can kind of predict it based on if the parents are Force sensitive, but even then it can still just be like it's still just ultimately like a coin flip, really. So that part really doesn't really need to be explored. We can just say like she's Force sensitive. That's it.
They need to explain it though.
You think so? All right.
Just not go in extensive detail, but just tell me where that comes from. Because I don't think the previous films explain that. And if you're just watching the movies and not anything else.
Who was all the destiny. He is the destined son. He is the interconnection of all these different families. He is the grandson of Darth Vader, the nephew of Luke, the son of Leia, the son of Han Solo. He feels destined to have all the future fates, but he's equal to Rey. They're balanced. And that's interesting. That shows that you can be a hero, you can be noteworthy, and have ties to nothing. You can just come out of nothing and be a hero. Anyone can be a hero. Oh wait, no, Rey's the granddaughter of Palpatine.
You're his granddaughter. You are a Palpatine.
Oops. Oh, I guess everything's connected now. Now it just makes sense. Oh, why is Rey balanced with Kylo Ren? Well, it's because, she's a Palpatine. They're destined. It's the bloodlines. It's special bloodlines. If you can't do anything good if you're not married to if you're not born from the right person. It's all 5 families throughout the history of Star Wars, changing everything. And I really hate this. I cannot stand this decision. Because it takes one of the most devastating ideas, that Rey is nothing. Everything Rey wanted to learn, it turned out not to be the case. She's disappointed beyond measure. But that's compelling. That's interesting. That is an answer to the questions established that is tough. And people didn't like the answer, but it's a tough answer. I really like this decision. I don't like the decision to make Rey just another part of the larger legacy. Make her a newcomer who's able to bring real change forward. Otherwise, it feels stagnant. It feels like we can't escape the characters established in the original film and prequels. We can't move forward. We are always shackled to the
people are paying theater tickets to see.
Funny how the expanded universe never had this problem with characters like Kyle Katarn, Koran, Warren, and etc.
Well, they wanted to say this is the conclusion of the Skywalker saga, and yet you wanted to have nothing to do with the Skywalkers. Yeah. Feels like they shouldn't be able to market it as that if they really wanted to be different.
We can't let the past die. We can't learn to move beyond it. And I think that's the key reason why a lot of people who watched The Last Jedi and praised it initially maybe turned on the film, because the follow-through sucked.
What do you mean praised initially?
Opening new stories, we realized beyond that door was just the same stories. Again, the safe ones. If The Last Jedi is a deconstruction, The Rise of Skywalker is a hasty...
People turned on it before The Rise of Skywalker.
Like, it's weird how he's so close. You can clearly tell again, he isn't really saying why the film is good beyond like surface level plot elements. Like, he's honestly criticizing The Last Jedi far more than he's defending it. But somehow people like Mahler and Nerdrotic are wrong for criticizing it. Why exactly?
Because they're not on his side and they're not criticizing it the way he does.
They criticize it because they're racist and sexist. I'm criticizing it for the real reasons.
I hate that right reasons part. I hate that right reasons garbage. It makes you sound pretentious.
Yeah.
Rebuild of what came before, right down to somehow Palpatine returning, because that's what we want, right? A retread of the Dark Empire.
No.
A comic that was itself kind of ripping off Ghostbusters 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just repetitive. And hot take, I'm glad Rian Johnson killed Snoke off. Snoke sucks. Snoke is a boring antagonist who wants to copy the Emperor.
Wait, is that a criticism of Last Jedi or not? I don't understand.
I'm not sure.
Doesn't even make any sense. Why do you hate?
I would say.
Why do you hate Snoke though? I don't get it. I'm glad Snoke got what he got.
And he's praising the movie decision to kill him off.
Thank God Snoke is dead. Him and his fucking zombie ass and his Hugh Hefner fucking wardrobe.
Maybe they shouldn't have had him in the movie.
I also just want to say, is it bad? I also know the voice actor for Snoke.
Oh yeah?
Oh, it's Andy Serkis, right?
Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Damn, I met Andy Serkis once. I made him sign my copy of Gollum for PS4.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Oh, he laughed his ass off. I was like, I brought the little slip cover for him to sign, and I was
the
like,
crazy thing is, Andy Serkis actually hated
like that Gollum game was like high on something.
How much do you think you'll get for that when Andy Serkis dies, John?
I'm not gonna sell it.
Like,
sure, you say that now. No, I'm just joking.
The funny thing is, he legitimately hates how Snoke was handled in The Last Jedi. He is pretty base in that area.
I mean, it's like, yeah, like what, like Snoke really is such a pointless character. Like, he really did nothing. Like, what did he do? Like, really? It's like, why would you introduce an antagonist like that would be...
He linked Kylo and Rey's minds together so they could have finger sex.
Oh, yeah.
Is that really all he did? Throughout the entire...
But which one's which?
Here?
Are you the hole or are you the stick?
Like, what did they just
see his move?
And again, it's like stuff like this. And again, it's another thing with videos like this. Like, a lot of the time, people like Anthony will end up agreeing with people like Drinker or Mahler and people like that, but they'll try to make these distinctions like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, they're disagreeing, and it's like, what? So what does this add to the conversation? You're saying you agree with what you're saying, but you're twisting yourself into not agreeing. Well, I agree for this reason and this reason. It's like, you saying anything?
It's a fear of, because it's always a purity test. How pure are you? So if your side thinks that you're deviating even 1%, they have to course correct.
Again, pretty much, and it's like, and again, I got into film discourse to actually, talk about movies, not engage in endless purity tests and be getting upset because some random critic doesn't like the latest Marvel movie and as such is trying to engage in some kind of con or grift that isn't properly explained and comes across as the real life equivalent of the Pepe Silva meme. Like, just want to talk about movies for God's sakes.
Theorized about who he was because
keep saying
the promise
you need to have a Backseat Boys
was more appealing than who.
I keep saying one of these days we gotta have a Backseat Boys movie night.
Oh yeah, there's so many. Oh my God, I have tons of movies that I could that I could pick for that.
Snoke was on screen. Was he a hidden Sith? Was he Plagueis? Was he something else? Everyone wanted Snoke to be something other than what he actually was. Because what he was just some distant guy who led Kylo Ren down the path of darkness, who delegated all the hard work of running the First Order to the minions in front of the camera. there was nothing left. What Rian Johnson saw was that Snoke's most interesting characteristics were his drive to destroy the Jedi Order, and thus Luke Skywalker, and how he inspired Kylo Ren to be worse. I mean, he's not even a good teacher. He didn't even finish Kylo Ren's training. Look at the end of the last film. It's time to complete Kylo Ren's training. Well, why didn't you complete it before you send him out on war missions to fight Luke? Snoke is powerful, but he's also arrogant. And he's proved that the puppet master villains like Palpatine are always one flub away from getting killed like a little loser. I would compare Snoke's fate to the fate that awaited Tywin Lannister. In Game of Thrones, except unlike Tywin, Snoke doesn't actually do anything all that interesting directly. He barely has any chessmaster plans. His position is very poorly fortified.
Half of his time with Rian, just saying.
Further his agenda on screen. And as a result, he doesn't even come across as a competent chessmaster because we don't really see him playing any chess. Rey comes to the First Order deliberately to help change Kylo Ren, and while Snoke takes credit for this, I mean, like, it was gonna happen anyway. He didn't have to do all that much. He's kind of just there. He facilitates change in other characters, but he himself is not much of a character at all. I mean, he's just hanging out there in a golden bathrobe half the movie, for crying out loud. I mean, how is this Bob Guccione-coded guy going to be threatening in any way whatsoever? I mean, come on. It's an inversion of Vader's betrayal, where he did one good thing after being an evil monster for decades and became a good guy. But Kylo Ren now is free to be as
Palpatine
as he wants, to be in charge. Snoke's plans ultimately lead to Kylo Ren becoming an unhinged monster, and the Jedi Order, ironically, survives through Rey, because Snoke's pupil, Kylo Ren, is too uncontrollable to get the specific missions accomplished. The plan unravels because it worked too well. Because Snoke was just a pawn of Palpatine, who was the real puppet master the whole time, it turns out none of this was a plan going out of control. It was just all part of Palpatine's plan. And Kylo Ren isn't worse, he's just a pawn who kind of starts to feel bad about all the evil things he does.
And not to defend the Rise of Skywalker, but was the Snoke clone getting killed part of his plan? Was that ever even stated? I feel like they're just...
I want to bring something up, because if you want to see something that actually manages to subvert story expectations in an interesting way, play the game The Magic Circle. It's basically basically supposed to be like a fantasy game, but what happens is the game ends up unfinished, so basically you're left to basically reprogram it from the inside. You can take control of certain characters and befriend, you can take enemies in the game and work on their insides and control and change them from the inside to become friends and stuff like that. And the story is actually a pretty interesting thing. Just following the developers of the in-universe game and how they're making it with a story in them. And it's something that it's a game that actually manages to be subversive in the way something like The Last Jedi is trying to be, playing around with expectations, but actually having substance and doing so in a very unique and thought-provoking way, while being a fun game on top of that. It's I just kind of wanted to bring that up as an alternative to something that actually manages to be both subversive and good.
It's like killing his dad and opening war against his mother and considering killing her a few times. And again, all the open doors that Johnson set up by getting rid of Snoke, by opening up this idea that this kid can be driven to evil and be this uncontrollable monster that needs to be stopped, that's totally gone. Unimportant. They went with the predictable, easy solution. And look, audiences like the familiar. They like to see what comes before and see it come again. But the problem is that it wasn't good. It just was the same old thing again.
Then why are you making this video?
If there's any other work in the past that took a past story or structure,
it's the same thing,
and just deconstructed it.
Anthony,
different. And then
one could say that about your videos. It's the same goddamn thing.
Ant is insulting The Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy as a whole more than he's defending it. Like, I thought this would be, like, but it's like, no, he's, like, the most he praises the film is just describing basic plot elements, whereas he spends far more time criticizing The Last Jedi in ways that people like Drinker and Mahler probably would have. Again, if they actually, like, looked on the surface level...
My side does it.
Exactly, and it's like, and again, I disagree with Drinker on, like, several things, but I still, agree with him on a lot, and I still respect him as a critic, and that's the same with, like, several other YouTubers that I watch. There's, like, several YouTubers that I watch that I disagree with on several things, both in terms of taste, but I still watch them anyway. Yeah, but yeah, it's like, it's, you're right, I'm beating a dead horse.
Well, I mean, Anthony's beating a dead horse, and it's
Just
just
as a,
constant.
general-
It does the same thing. And that's bad because you could look at your whole channel, and it's the same goddamn thing you complain about over and over again.
So, well, I'm thinking because this will probably be a two-part. It's such a long video. If we make it to the end of Only Hollywood.
I mean, I think I don't think so because we already have like the Bob video being a part 2, and that's just going to convolute things. Let's just finish this in one go.
Guys, is there a chapter we want to skip to? John, go through the chapters. So we got Star Wars Shakespeare.
Star Wars Shakespeare. What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Oh wait, hold on. Let me pull up the video.
Do you want to see that?
Oh wait, hold on. Wait, there's one. Let's go to the one where let's go to that one's near the end of the video.
Let's see them all first. So let's go.
Yeah, I'd rather see them all.
Okay, let's
see a lot of Star Wars.
That one I want to get to. Star Wars lore changing from Wedging to Disney.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Racism. Well, those two together are only like 5 minutes total, or 10 minutes total, I guess. So we can probably get that.
Oh Jesus Christ!
It's like let's
by the coward Rian Johnson.
What do you want to skip to, guys?
We definitely don't need current state. I don't think. Honestly, I feel like the two.
Do you want to? I'm kind of interested in the. Disney gave Star Wars fans exactly what they asked for. Curious to see how he rationalizes that.
Ooh, that's a chunky boy. All right.
Well, maybe we'll skip around.
Oh wait, no, it's only
maybe.
I missed this other little segment in there. All right.
To be honest, this is an hour long
space to jump to.
Hello.
that one is going on the thumbnail. Someone text me the
Oh yeah, I knew it was the thumbnail face eventually.
5316.
All right. Anyway, move.
Hello there, children. Come to my van.
Oh no.
I got Star Wars toys.
Tell you something about.
Are they the cool ones? They're the Disney ones. Oh.
Let me tell you something about media literacy. Anyway, moving on.
For it. Ultimately, the fans do not want anything from Star Wars that breaks outside the established material of the past. Much like how audiences did not want King Lear to be different from the historical quote-unquote.
Break anything or just, we wanted to respect the canon. Like, sure, we don't want to remain the same, but we wanted to respect and acknowledge. And sure, maybe you could add like a twist in there too, but nothing too convoluted to the point where it becomes unrecognizable.
Quote, version of King Lear. And Disney responded by giving fans exactly what they wanted. Tons of callbacks to past stuff. And the fans complained about every new edition because, much like with the safe version of King Lear, it was stagnant, safe, and ultimately robbed of any of the meaning the original text had. Now, is all of Star Wars and the Disney underwhelming? God, no. Andor stands apart because it's an exceptional sci-fi series. But even looking at the reaction to Andor from established big-name Star Wars fans, I mean, they're complaining about screws in the wall.
It's just whatever. It's honestly a kind of a forgettable show. Look, acting was great, cinematography was great, the writing was good, but it was a lot of little things. I mean, when we saw the camera in the previous episode, there were like screws.
Therefore, all criticism is bad.
When we see certain architecture, it's just bricks. You know, it's not smooth.
He just okay. I don't understand why he's using this clip. He just said the writing and cinematography is good. He's just nitpicking.
The whole thing about Star Wars is to feel like it's from a galaxy far, far away. It didn't do that with this one.
Like acting like Vader, the monster who killed children, would see sexual violation as a step too far.
And as a result of this scene, there was a discourse created on whether or not, as I said, Star Wars should depict this. And it has mainly galvanized around a tweet created by YouTuber Star Wars Theory, who
I'm confused. What's happening?
None very positive, but...
Also, I have a question. Is that a man or a woman?
Oh, Jesse's a trans woman. Jesse's a trans woman.
Oh.
Is he reverting the transition, or?
No, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Jesse is a trans woman, which means they were from male to female.
John, you can put this on 1.5.
In his tweet, he said, "Essay in Star Wars feels necessary. You can portray power dynamics and make the audience hate the Empire in other ways without taking it to such a disgusting place. Vader wouldn't tolerate that shit, nor does the Empire condone it. It has no place in Star Wars, period. Unnecessary." There's a few things that are kind of ridiculous right on its face. I mean, his first thing that he says is Vader wouldn't tolerate that shit, nor does the Empire condone it. And it just goes to show his kind of ignorance of how these systems would actually work. Why would Vader give a crap what some guy on some backwater planet on a power trip is going to do?
No, he wouldn't, because real-world monsters and real-world fascists and real-world dictators did worse than this in real life. Do you really think Vader...
There he goes. He's got the cock in his mouth there.
I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, realistically, Vader, I don't think, like, Vader would, like, actively, like, encourage something like that. I just think he would just kind of not really care either way.
I think he would be like,
I still think it's like
mission, Captain. He wouldn't be like, sexual assault is wrong. He'd be like, please. He wouldn't say please, obviously, but he'd be like, keep to your objective, officer. And he'd like redirect him like in an aggressive way or something. He wouldn't like give a shit or try to reprimand him. He'd just be like, we need to get this shit done. You know, he would be kind of indifferent towards it, I feel like.
No dilly-dallying with
I mean, I do feel like there is kind of like a validity.
Put in your pants.
I feel like there is kind of a validity because it's like just because sometimes because villains are like different. Just because a character is like a villain or an antagonist, that doesn't mean they'll always mean they're like 100% like evil. Some of them are cold-blooded monsters, but it's like in terms of Vader, yeah, no, he would really not care about this either way. Like he just wouldn't.
He would be more concerned about getting the mission done and restoring order. And so that's why I say he wouldn't care in the sense that, like, he'd be like, this is a distraction. It's not so much that I want to morally grandstand for you right now. It's just that I want to get the mission done because Palpatine wants the mission done. And because I want order in the galaxy.
Would care? This is a realistic depiction of the Empire, an uncompromising vision, but fans want to see their storybook land. They want to see evil that is safe, evil that's not too evil, evil that's cool. We can like dress up as stormtroopers as a costume for Halloween, not be reminded of real world.
I mean, Anakin killed a bunch of kids, but okay.
And challenging in Star Wars doesn't always seem to work for the audiences because they want their playbox, they want their fun. You can't have.
I mean, like you literally been again. You're making these you're criticizing and saying that they're refusing to be challenged. Well, you're doing the same exact thing to the prequels. Yeah. Like, you're accusing them of not wanting to be challenged when you're you're avoiding the prequels because you don't want to engage with them, because you don't want to be challenged by a slightly different interpretation of Star Wars. Like, you're just as guilty.
And for better or worse, Some fans can't stand the idea of having both a realistic, grim narrative and a fun adventure. If you see the immature way people react to maturity in Andor, you can see the
but there's still an argument to be made. That's its own thing. Like, should pedophilia be in Star Wars?
No. All right, no. And it never should be done. No, absolutely not. No. Oh my god, could you imagine if they did that? Oh my god, Disney Plus would have like several lawsuits. There would be like several lawsuits.
But that's what I mean. It's just okay. Like there's an argument and there's a discussion about how they
Star Wars going from skeleton crew to doing that.
Oh no, not that dumb show.
Now, one of the best recent Star Wars projects, other than Andor or The Mandalorian, is The Skeleton Crew, a series that's part Treasure Island and The Goonies.
Right on cue!
The Goonies, he said Goonies.
Again, to be honest, Skeleton Crew feels like they had like an idea they already had an idea for an independent sci-fi show, and they were like, oh hey, Star Wars is also sci-fi, let's just make it a Star Wars show, because it's like, there's like no reason, this has like literally no connection to Star Wars whatsoever.
Well, I saw the trailer and they were playing like, what was it? What was that song? Yeah, from
Oh my god, yeah, rest in peace, David. Absolutely.
David Bowie,
nearly as good as the Revolution.
And I just saw it. It was just weird because Star Wars, they were trying to make it timeless, and I'm just like, really? They're gonna.
Yeah, but Star Wars is always kind of fraying away from using licensed.
Yeah, but they
all just kind of made its own score. So using a licensed song from David Bowie in a trailer just felt out of nowhere.
Even if the song is timeless, it's still weird to see in Star Wars because it's still licensed music.
Yeah. Oh, but Eric, they sang it all in Huttese. That means it's Star Wars.
It's like, yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Oh, Jesus.
Gambling style of filmmaking. Steven Spielberg in the 80s, where it has a whole sense of family and well-written characters.
Also, hot take, Spielberg is a very, very, very overrated influence.
That's fair.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I haven't really seen all of his films, but, I mean, I honestly don't really know how I think about that. Like, I don't really have, like, strong feelings about Steven Spielberg as a director. Like, I respect Steven Spielberg, but I wouldn't call him one of my all-time favorite directors, personally. Like, I just respect him.
He also has a
I've still been in 1941.
Self-contained, simple story. And I feel like some Star Wars fans struggle to articulate their thoughts on Skeleton Crew. Because when they saw it, they knew it was a cute show for families, but because they couldn't feed off negativity around it, they kind of just fell back on complaining about The Acolyte. Look at Star Wars Theory's review of it.
I think that the show is quite adorable. It's got a good message of, fighting for your friends, fighting for what you believe in, dare to dream big, like Wim, dreaming of being a Jedi. And, it's got adventure and, trusting your gut instincts and knowing that not everybody is out there is good, and a lot of them are trying to squeeze you for what they can get out of you.
He talks for a little bit about how the show is charming and cute, but then suddenly, whenever he gets a chance, cuts right back to saying, well, you know how bad The Acolyte was? That definitely poisoned the well with the Skeleton Crew.
And I think that they set this up for season 2. I think what the scoping is if the show has enough ratings or not. And sadly, because of the power, it doesn't have ratings. It has the worst ratings of any Star Wars, apparently.
Yeah, what's wrong with what
it's called bringing up things to show context. Like,
literally showed like a half-second clip of The Acolyte.
Like, yeah, it's like, that's called bringing in an additional topic in order to bring in this one. He's basically just saying, since the Acolyte poisoned the well in terms of Star Wars, then, it wouldn't give a season 2. Like, he's not just bringing up the Acolyte for no reason. He's bringing it up to establish how sad it is that Skeleton Crew didn't get, a better reception. It's called, again, it's making a point by bringing up information. He didn't just go, oh, you know how bad the Acolyte was. And again, This is literally the clip that Anthony is playing in the video. It's like, yeah, and it's like, no. Like, it's clear that's not what Theory is saying at all.
What do you like or hate the guy?
Yeah, I mean, he would have you believe that the ratio of this is the complete opposite of what it is, which is he's talking about Skeleton Crew 95% of the time, and then he brings up a quick little 2-second thing of the Acolyte to blame the low ratings. He could have said, oh, I guess the show wasn't good enough, and so the ratings were bad. Instead, he actually tries to assign some of the blame for the ratings, the main thing that you would criticize it for, on the Acolyte. So you should be happy that he brought it up, because otherwise he would just be randomly taking shots at why its ratings are low.
But again, you can't insult the Acolyte because, oh my god, the Acolyte the Acolyte was hated by bigots and chuds and blah 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 blah. No nuance.
Things of any Star Wars show, which is sad because I liked the show. I thought it was fun. It was lighthearted. It was cute. It didn't destroy any lore. It didn't bastardize any characters. It didn't bring anyone back from the dead or before they were even a nut in their daddy's sack. It didn't have any weird cave dwellers, and it didn't have any strange ideas of, some guy kidnapping someone and then taking them off to an island and having some weird sexual innuendos.
But Star Wars fans don't want anything new, right?
Very pure kids show with Star Wars themes. It's really unfortunate.
Remember, this is a review of Skeleton Crew. Yes, it is. Yes, it is a review of Skeleton Crew.
The second time that he's even
just because you're reviewing a piece of media, that doesn't mean you can't bring up other pieces of media in my review. I brought up 3 movies in my Everything Everywhere All at Once review. Freddy Got Fingered, John Dies at the End, and Sorry to Bother You. And Anthony would be like, wait, I thought this was a review of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Why are you bringing up these movies? Oh my god.
We don't even need to go to that. We can go to Ant's own words. Just a few minutes ago, Ant said, oh, it's like Amblin Entertainment. It's like E.T. It's like the Goonies. I should put this text over. Remember, this is about Skeleton Crew.
How anyone takes Ant seriously as a video essayist, I will never understand.
Oh my god.
He's demonstrating hypocrisy back to back.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Oh my god.
Fans from the franchise, because I guarantee you, and I would put my channel on this, if this show came out after Rogue One, there would be a lot more people interested to at least give it a chance. This, for me, was more interesting than Solo. I like this more than Solo. We don't need anything political or any weird shit.
It's part of a franchise.
Oh, why is he talking about Solo? I thought it was a skeleton.
It's like, what does he think a review is supposed to be? He thinks a review is only supposed to bring up the thing that it's talking about and, no other piece of media? It can't reference other pieces of media for context?
Especially when it's part of a franchise.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Yes, it's a review of Skeleton Crew, and he's bringing up other...
This is ridiculous.
His point, like a reviewer. Here's what these people think a review should be. I like the thing. The end.
Yeah.
Because that's all they care about.
I also like the thing, the 1982 movie.
Like that going in there, like the Acolyte. Just a fun little story. No big deal. Don't think about it too much. At least that's better than the things that came prior.
He's struggling to pivot something negative because he wants something to criticize. And it ends up being, doesn't it suck that the Acolyte sank Star Wars rep so badly, no one wants to see Skeleton Crew? And not like, oh, Disney barely marketed the show, and that's why maybe audiences aren't watching it. Hell, maybe even say, hey, fans, show this, watch this, it's good stuff.
Well, they marketed the Acolyte a shit ton, and that didn't seem to help, so...
Yeah, but no, you can't criticize. No, you can't criticize the Acolyte.
Oh, and buy my lightsabers, too, I guess. That's what he wants to say. I don't know Star Wars theory. I guess he sells a lot of lightsabers. I mean, they look pretty cool.
You don't know him now.
As Star Wars theories, lightsabers, are they good? I'm sure they are. I'm not gonna... You gotta get your bag somehow, man. I'm not gonna criticize your business.
Oh my god, now it's like you're accusing Star Wars theory and just talking about irrelevant things, and now you're going on an irrelevant tangent about Star Wars theory and his lightsabers.
Well,
oh my god.
Because they're trying to deflect
him seriously.
He's trying to be funny about it.
Well, if Backseat or anybody now brings up
YouTubers are funnier.
If Backseat or anybody brings up actually he said it because of this, and this, he'll just be like, oh, well, I don't even know Star Wars theory. That's the only reason he's putting in this segment. He's gonna go into all of his diatribes about his review because he apparently watched all this shit. But then anytime that he gets an ounce of pushback or anything with his logic, he's just gonna be like, well, I don't even know the guy. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. You care way more than I do, haha. It's like I care as much as I need to throw out a bunch of random ass accusations, and then I'll stop caring.
Pretty neat. I think the problem is that modern Star Wars culture and discussion has become so focused on negativity that when we see something good,
because it's mostly bad,
we can't criticize in any way. We don't know what to do with it. I mean, I don't do it. I'll praise it to the heavens and back. But a lot of these big name fans, they seem to feed off negativity, and they're like, "Wow,
he's talking about viewership,
clips that he curated. He was mostly praising it, like." And now you're saying that he's trying to spin it negative. You're talking more negatively about his video than he talked about the Skeleton Crew.
Again, it's like, oh, well, they're feeding off of negativity. Maybe that's because the films are bad. It's because Disney Star Wars is bad, and people are expressing their frustration about it. But towards people like Ant, you can't express dislike of anything. Like, you either have to be blindingly positive, or just suppress your dislike, or just repress your dislike in the back of your mind. And it's like, people can express their dislike. Okay, there is no such thing as anti-fandom. It's just fandom. It's just fandom expressing the way you don't like.
Yep. I don't know what to say about this. You know, and again, if all you can say is it's not this garbage thing that everyone wanted to hear me talk about before, then maybe you're doing this for the wrong reasons. You know, I don't know. Whenever I hear certain fans criticizing Star Wars, I feel like it's a superficial criticism. The lore doesn't match up quite nicely. You know, Ki-Adi-Mundi, the alien no one cared about, who's born a few centuries earlier or whatever.
But now you're going to defend the Acolyte.
Stinks or breaks a show. It just feels like...
But bold of you to criticize... bold of you to claim their criticisms are superficial, when your criticisms towards the prequels were, and I quote, "These special effects aren't perfect. Padme and Anakin is like the Princess Bride, and they didn't go directly to the capital and instead went to Naboo, and even though I understand that, it's the problem because the film didn't explain that, and that's not the audience's fault because the Kool-Aid Man is red."
Dude, he's going into this bullshit he went in his original Acolyte video where he's like, really? You're mad at Ki-Adi-Mundi? He's a character no one cares. It's like, well, who are you to say no one cares of this character?
Plus, even then, it's like, who cares? It's like, why would you, like, discontinue... Why would you make such an obvious retcon for, like, no reason, rather than just...
He also pulled this shit with Akbar, where it's like, really? Akbar's the guy whose death in Last Jedi you're gonna get all upset about? Well, it's like, who are you to say? Who are you to decide what characters we shouldn't get upset about, huh, Ant? I'm willing to bet there's tons of minor characters that you like, and you'd be pretty upset if they got an unceremonious death.
But again, it's like, it just doesn't matter because it's like, it's Disney Star Wars, so suck up.
And you have Heir to the Empire on, like, you have that book on your shelf right now.
Here.
And in the sequel to that book, when Borsk Phalius shows up and starts framing Akbar for all this dumb shit, it's like everyone is rushing to Akbar's defense. It's like, who are you to, it's like, oh, he's just a dumb side character. It's like, piss off.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like, just because a character isn't, like, the, like, ultimate... It's like, yeah, it's the same thing that John Boyega said. Oh, yeah, I mean, Mace Windu and Lando Calrissian are just minor characters. Who cares? Like, so what? They can still be important and beloved even if they aren't part of the main cast. Simpson, like... The B guy from the Simpsons doesn't even have a name. He's one of the most iconic characters from that show.
Back to, as a horror fan, with Halloween 3. Halloween 3 was a sequel that completely defied expectations by being completely disconnected.
Yeah, I brought that up.
Before and after.
I thought this was a review of Star Wars.
Halloween 3. Like, the next film, it's about teenagers in the modern era, like a Black Mirror episode. They'd be pissed off. And honestly...
Oh, if it were good, they would like it.
But the thing is, Halloween 3, that was like... But here's the thing, that was different. Like, the thing about Halloween 3 was that was the original vision from the get-go. They didn't just pull that out of nowhere. That was the plan from the beginning. It's just that after Halloween 2, Halloween 2 had to have Michael Myers, so they tried to do it with there, and the fans didn't understand it, so they basically pivoted back to Michael Myers. Like, this isn't just something that they just pulled out of nowhere.
I see it there is that, yeah, they wanted it to be an anthology film series, but once they had Halloween 2 continue the story of the first, that pretty much locked them out of that. So now Halloween, if they ever made Halloween 3, they pretty much had to continue the Michael and Laurie story. but they didn't, so that's pretty much why. If they just stuck their original anthology idea and Halloween 2 was something else, then maybe, but they pretty much locked themselves out of that opportunity. They really should have called Halloween 3 something else.
I mean, yeah, I definitely do agree there, but at the same time, like, with Anthony trying to, like, compare the two is kind of disingenuous given how they have, like, vastly different, like, origins and setups.
Halloween is a holiday. Star Wars is a franchise. Like, calling something Halloween 2 or 3 and it's a different story is a lot different than having it be called Star Wars and a different story. And also, they already solved this problem. It was a Star Wars story. And people didn't backlash against Rogue One because it wasn't, like, directly connected to the Skywalkers.
I mean, hell, it's there. I mean, there are tons of fucking stories and stories that have nothing to do with the Skywalker family. I mean, hell, one of Ant's favorite Star Wars things, according to his reply to me on Blue Sky, is Knights of the Old Republic. The Skywalkers ain't in that game. Nothing really is. Aside, the only things from the movies in Knights of the Old Republic are Tatooine and a brief mention of House Organa on Alderaan. That's really it. So,
And that's the only reason you liked it, right? Was because they mentioned the Organas?
No, of course not.
Halloween 3 as an interesting novelty. I think that if Star Wars fans got their Halloween 3, they'd have a similar reaction. Disbelief, gradual hatred, gradual revilement, but eventually they'll accept it. You see a pattern here with all this, by the way? King Lear, Halloween 3, you get the idea? By the way, if you want to hear my thoughts on Kiadi Mundi, I did a video on the Acolyte. I go into detail there. I'm not going to get sidetracked on talking about the ridiculousness of changing a non-canon event for the new canon, so go for that. Rian Johnson's visions for The Last Jedi is imperfect. I don't think that The Last Jedi is Rian Johnson's best film by any means, but I do think it's an important film in the structure of the fandom culture, because it pushed fans a little further than they were comfortable with. They wanted things not to change, and a lot of change really quickly.
It made people like you hate fans.
Making matters more complicated is the fact that the Legends canon depicts a version of Luke completely different than the one we saw in The Last Jedi. Much like King Lear with his Histories of the Kings of Britain version, the version of Luke in Legends is a dashing hero. That scene in The Mandalorian that fans went wild over, that's Luke throughout the Legends canon. And I think fans wanted that version on screen. But the problem is, that version of Luke was created for a much younger version of the character. The Last Jedi is a significantly older version of Luke. Now, of course, Legends canon is a mismatched, massive sprawl of different...
Actually, the few Legends that I've read, so I'm only on my fourth book of
let
Legends.
him finish. Let him finish.
Right.
Works from different creators. It's my opinion that the Crystal Star in particular is one of the worst Star Wars things ever created, but fans had this very rose-tinted glasses vision of the Legends canon, one that drove criticism moving forward.
I've been a fan of the expanded universe, what's now known as Legends, for a long time. I've always loved reading, so in a lot of ways reading the books, especially the New Jedi Order,
What the fuck does Corey even have to do with this?
was a bigger part of my experience growing up as a Star Wars fan than even the movies. But over the last few years, there's been an increasing phenomenon of people trying to kind of weaponize Legends. Basically, there's a bunch of people who express being a Legends fan just as a way to say that the new canon sucks. And the thing is, they almost always get Legends completely wrong. If you like Legends and dislike canon, more power to you, and the same about the reverse. You do you. What I don't like is people trying to weaponize something I enjoy as a way to attack others for enjoying something else, especially when they seem to have no idea what they're talking about. Among these claims about Legends are things like it being apolitical, despite, for example, the New Jedi Order being almost 24 books about not being shit to refugees, and about reaching cultural understanding.
I'm only 4 books in, but that's not what it's about.
Guys, you seriously
fighting the fucking use on Vaughn, dumbass.
Oh my god, just... Oh my god.
Not
you
being
seriously bring
shit
up
to
political
refugees.
arguments, just play the boss.
What's that?
Albeit in ways that very much reflect the time they were written in. Or just Timothy Zahn's comments that Outbound Flight allowed him to write about the Iraq War without actually using the word Iraq. Not recognizing the political context of something isn't the same as that thing being apolitical.
To make matters worse, the idea that there was this alternate version where Luke is a hero, is the savior, you can use that to further criticize the modern version of Star Wars, to act like it rivals the canon you grew up with. In this sense, Luke and Luke become competing visions of the same character. They felt like it was contradicting what came before. There was a betrayal of what came before. When in actuality, it was a discussion of what came before. But the answers that were selected were the harshest answers.
I don't even... my brain left out.
I definitely had fun.
What is he rambling about? I don't even know.
I don't know. Let him continue.
He's saying it's not a rejection, it's just a discussion, even though he made decisions.
Playing a particularly challenging game of Spot the White Guy with this trailer, because damn man, this one shows enough to fulfill Disney's entire DEI quota for the next 2 fiscal years.
Oh yeah, the Taker, oh thank god.
Jedi Padawans, and see if you can identify the one demographic that's mysteriously left out.
Star Wars fans historically have an issue when things have to change, but even more concerning, they have a bit of an issue with other things. Keep in mind, I could get into right now all the stuff with Moses Ingram, Amanda Stenberg, and all of that health.
No. Okay, no. Okay, no.
Are we done here?
We could probably skip this part.
With Moses Ingram, with Moses Ingram, they only yes, people criticized Moses Ingram, but you know what? Okay, when the harassment came out about her, a lot of the anti-woke people like Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, and even the friggin' Quartering and Ben Shapiro condemned it. And with Amanda Stenberg, the only criticism to her was her character, and the only time until, of course, that awful diss track, which of course I love how these people never bring up the diss track, like, at all. Like, that's just never mentioned. And again, it is not about the fact that things are different, it's that they're different and bad. Hard to understand.
The discourse.
Gotcha. There we go. Luke Skywalker.
Rian Johnson came in with a vision that was very controversial, but he had a vision. A lot of the recent Star Wars products, and I say products very specifically here, are not made with vision other than to continue telling stories about Star Wars. A lot of people said with Luke that
you mean like the
ideal of a hero, that this was a betrayal to what heroes do and all that. But I would say you may be misinterpreting something, because Luke's fall in the Last Jedi is honestly a lot like a lot of other great heroes' fall eventually. King Lear we use as an example, but you want another one? King Arthur. Yeah, Arthur declined the latter portions of the Morte Arthur. Following both the betrayal of Lancelot and Guinevere and the conception of Mordred, King Arthur fought...
Cool, Luke, any of those characters? No.
...down with him. It's only thanks to Percival retrieving the Holy Grail that Arthur is able to return to his throne and regain power. And only rises to fight his final battle against his son Mordred.
Yeah, they're saying Luke's an Arthurian.
I am so fucking done with this video. He's not saying anything sensible anymore.
I thought this would just be like a boilerplate, like, defending Last Jedi video and, slandering the critics as being racist. And it's like, I mean, obviously he does do both of those things, but oh my god. It's just, there's nothing here. He just says the most brain-dead stuff. Oh my god. It's like every time I watch this man, I actively lose brain cells. I just... How people take this man seriously as a video essayist, and I'm like, how? Do you just watch him on mute? Like, oh god. It's like, if you want to video essayist, watch him. That dude is...
They probably play his videos at night so you can fall asleep to his words.
He's much better.
Oh my god! I think even using it as sleep wouldn't work because his nasally voice would keep you up at night.
I'd be too off because everything that I listen to, it's like so disagreeable. This is a good image to end on though, because it's about as relevant as the rest of his arguments. It's like, remember that?
This is the thumbnail. I got an idea for this. Are we all done here, folks?
Yeah, honestly, I'm fine ending here.
It's just gonna be Rian Johnson and JJ killing each other.
I go to bed. I'm honestly fine ending it here.
So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below if you subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys next time in the backseat. Take care.